Right, we're live on Facebook. Not live on Facebook.
Live on YouTube. Hello, everybody on YouTube. Just put the wood in the hole. Our other guests will have to knock to enter. This is happening live. This is all live. This on the old Tinternet. Make the most of it. It's the last one. I might not be here next week. I might get killed.
I've been threatened.
I've been threatened, haven't I? I've been threatened for my opinions. I've been threatened for my opinions, which I think is very harsh. We will talk all things rugby league. Well done to Salford, 2 wins in 2 for them. They'll be happy with that.
Like Salford.
We do like Salford. We like Ian Watson. Sky don't like him though, apparently. We'll have a chat about that. Well done to Cass. They have 2 wins in 2. Poor old Lee Radford. Will Hull ever win again? When will Hull win again? That's the big one. Well done Warrington, although Blake Austin.
Well, no.
No? No. All right, we'll talk about that in a bit. Well done St Helens. They won again, the big Wakefield.
I didn't know I was there.
They were going to be relegated quite clearly. Danny
Bruff's going for the record of getting sin binning in every game this season.
For December.
2 from 2. The first one was mistaken identity.
Yeah, talk about a man's reputation proceeding. Who said that? Bruff, you're off.
The Lee Catamall of Rugby League.
It is. The Dragons off to their first win. And down to earth with a bump for the likes of London and Hull Kingston Rovers.
I thought you meant Aaron Murphy then when you said down to earth with a bump.
Well, now you mentioned that. It has been a topic of conversation. We'll have a chat about play acting in rugby league. Is it time it stopped? I really, really, really do think it is.
I think we should move your bottle as well. I forgot that.
All right, we'll move the bottle. Yeah, we've lost his bottle.
Yeah.
John, I've been getting hammered. Absolutely annihilated on Twitter.
Welcome to my world.
Yes. Well, you see, now you know how it feels. We're bringing in a special I've been abused on Twitter guest later on. Yeah. He'll be with us shortly. Look, I said the Aaron Murphy, we've got to start with this, right? And this is not, for anyone that's listening, this is not anti-Aaron Murphy.
Or anti-Huddersfield Giants.
Yeah. What's that? I didn't see what that was.
I'll tell you later.
All right, okay. Apologies. But he was caught play acting. And he was play acting. It was a shocking example.
Yes.
And when you've got people from other sport picking up on it going, I thought rugby league was supposed to be a tough man's sport. What is this guy doing? I asked I tweeted, my tweet was, Super League, draw a line in the sand and do it now. I think we need to cut this out. I later on went on to say, if it were up to me, I'd ban him for stuff like that. I can't do that because it's not in the rules at the minute. But I want it to be in the rules, where if you do that, you can get into trouble. What did you make of it, John? It's a shocker, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is turning people off our game, I think.
I don't know if it's turning people off the game because it's been happening for quite a while, and for a number of years and many different players. But it's not a good look. And the thing is, as you know, particularly as a broadcaster, when you're on TV, anything can be clipped and then shared on social media, and it can be sent around the world. And the scrutiny is never higher than it is these days, and it's just really bad to see. But how many times for how many years have we seen players milking out the play the ball, a little bit of contact, slowing down the ruck? But that was probably a step beyond. It was like a sniper was in Perpignan and felled him from great distance.
Look, I mean, and people were quick to say to me, "Oh, you're picking on Aaron." No, I'm not.
What about everyone else?
It was just the example.
Yes,
it was blatant, and you can't.
Yeah.
You cannot even deny that he's cheating there. And people are saying, "Oh, well, he got touched, so he's every right." It's not football where you get touched, you fall over in the penalty area. This is rugby league.
Yeah.
If Aaron Murphy had the ball in his hands and us 3 jumped on him, he wouldn't even fall over. That's with us 3 jumping on him. But yet the player the ball, someone opens the door, he falls over. What's that about? Why do they do it? Why are they doing it? Why is this creeping into our sport? It is cheating, isn't it?
I'm going to use an extreme example. And this is one of those things where I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. You played PDRL last year for Leeds.
Yeah.
Can you imagine any of those boys and girls diving?
No, not really.
It's rugby league.
Yeah.
Why are you doing it?
Well,
you don't need to do it. And it's not like people saying, "Oh, the referees need to do this, that, and the other." It's the players who are trying to con them. That's and people don't like this word "con." That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to get a penalty.
It's the same we had. Was it not last year, the year before, with the dummy half passing the ball into the man line? Yeah, I mean, the person might not have been in the way, but they'd throw it at him anyway just to win the penalty. You're trying to win a penalty. It's sportsmanship.
Brian McDermott,
but it's bad sportsmanship.
Brian McDermott brought this up towards the end of 2017 when they played Hull and he went on a rant about penalty. We give too many penalties for stuff that aren't penalties, and he was pointing at stuff like this, where people throw themselves on the floor and try. So it's not like no one else. We know everyone else does it. This is not an anti-Huddersfield thing, and it's always interesting when you criticise someone at a club. They all close ranks, and you can't pick on our club. I could have picked probably a dozen examples. That was the biggest one of them all. But as Brad McDermott said, this has been happening, and it's and it's happening. And Leon Price, to be fair, I mean, he offered to come on the show tonight, Leon, and we couldn't fit him in. He says, "You're making a mountain out of a molehill." I went, Leon, 2 years ago, feigning injuries at dropouts was a little molehill. We've just changed the rules now because it's become that much of a blight on our sport.
Yeah. Well, I think the game evolves and changes, though. That's why new rules come in and things are tweaked and changed, and we are seeing more of this at the play of the ball. Whether that's the influence of football or it's just people trying to find ways to fool the referee, con the referee, if you will. We are seeing more of it. I don't think it's a case of we see it once every season or a couple of times a season. You probably see it a couple of times a game, don't you?
Yeah. So do we? What do we do then? What do we do about this? Where would you go? I said, you can't ban him, and this is very much like the Bielsa thing at Leeds, right? Everyone's up in arms about it, but you can't do sod all about it because it's not in the rules. You can't go, we're going to ban Bielsa. There's no rule to say it's an unwritten rule, so you can't ban him for an unwritten rule. So I think we need to change. I think Aaron Murphy is the last one, and I think it's going to be Murphy's law. We're going to say, right, we're not doing this anymore. From next week, if you do it, you're going to get penalised, and I think or banned or whatever. It'd stop within 2 weeks. If you said, right, you're getting banned for that, you're getting banned for that, and you're getting banned for that, it'd stop it overnight. They'd stop doing it.
Well, you can look at what happened in the NRL last year with the play the balls and the ruck, and they would become really messy. And they just said, look, we're going to crack down. But first few rounds, there was a ridiculous amount of penalties.
Yeah.
And then it evened out because clubs stopped doing it.
Yeah, it's right, isn't it?
So if there's an edict from head office, the referee is just someone says to Aaron Murphy, the ref says, don't do that again, or you'll be in trouble. He won't do it again.
Yeah,
they must review the games afterwards anyway. The referees, I'm sure. So it's hard in the heat of the moment to say that's definitely a dive, that's not a dive.
Mike,
when you watch it back, you can know right, that's a dive, right?
Yeah. My question to you next week, or not next week, they're not playing, are they? The week after. Murphy's bringing the ball off his line. Someone's all over him illegally at the play of the ball. What's the ref going to do? Go, he's a diver. I'm not giving him it. I'm not going to give him it. I reckon it'll work against him. I think it will.
Mo Salah or someone like that.
Let's compare, right? His teammate,
Ronaldo.
Jermaine McGilvray, right, must be the most win the most penalties bringing the ball out of his own area. Not once have I said that gone, I think he dived then. Is it a skill and just Aaron Murphy's no good at it or not? I don't know. I just think it was like, wow, I don't know. I just saw the look on McIlaurin's face as if to say, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I got involved in it probably around about it was later on. I didn't have my phone on or whatever. I put it on and I got involved then. There were plenty of people bigger and better than me that had already put the boot in, saying it was a disgrace and that it needs sorting out. And I think it does need sorting out. We all agree.
Yeah.
There's no disagree. I don't even think. I think it's just because you're pointing out one player and one team. I think it's only them that disagree with it. If I'd have picked on a Wigan player, I don't think any of the Huddersfield fans would have complained.
There's nothing as small-minded in rugby league as if you can point something out in one instance, even though it may be happening everywhere, but for some reason it's a vendetta against your club or your player. But if it was a whole KR player, you mentioned it, then all the Huddersfield fans would probably be agreeing with you.
Exactly.
So the hypocrisy is mind-boggling.
Yeah, and that's and this is the problem I have with
sad.
the sport. We've got to look at the bigger picture here, and if one of your guys gets done, you've got done. You know what I mean? It's like speed, isn't it? You go, well, everyone does it. Yeah, but you've got the ticket, mate. You've got to pick. You've got to pick it up. You're the one that's been done. Tough.
I don't want to say people are idiots, but also
that's the second time you've said that in 2 weeks.
Well, I'm going to get T-shirts pretty much. I just haven't designed them yet.
I think Brexit's proven that, Rich.
Yeah, people are idiots. People asking where Scully is it a secret thing which we can't tell you about, even though it was in the paper this morning.
Masonic handshakes and all that.
John was invited, we weren't, which I think tells you.
I was on the C list. I was on the C list.
Tells you where we are on the Super League pecking order. Despite the fact the gentleman.
Hold on.
Despite the fact the gentleman.
If you got a roll of wallpaper out and unravelled it, Even when you got to the end, you probably have to turn it over, and we might be on that list.
I mean, the gentleman next to me commentates on a national radio station and rights holding broadcaster for Super League, but what does that matter?
Yeah.
We can, as long as we're not happy clappers like everyone else seems to be.
Yeah.
People don't want to be criticised. People don't like criticism. People don't like people having opinions.
Talk the game up. Talk it up.
We will
talk
do
it
it
up.
when it's good. We do.
No, you've got to talk it all up. You've just got to live in dreamland.
Well,
talk everything
the good news for Aaron Murphy is he will be on the next series of Dancing on Ice, so that's great for the profile of Rugby League.
There's a lot of people asking. James said, "Where is Judas? He didn't go to Hull Castle and get kidnapped, did he?" Well, if he did, and we've had a ransom, we are paying.
No, he has got a one-game ban because we told him last week on this show, don't go nicking chips at Bellevue.
Why couldn't he allow, didn't he?
He went into the media because he wasn't on the media list.
He was actually working.
Well, I know, yeah, but he wasn't on the list, so he wasn't allowed in the room. But he did go in and nick chips.
So he got into trouble, did he?
Yeah. I had to explain to my nephews who he was because he was stood there. He's loud, isn't he?
Yes.
He was stood there talking to me, and they were sat a few rows in front, and they said, "Who's that loud bloke?" And I said, "He's Gary Schofield. He used to be Great Britain captain when I was your age." And they said, "Was he good?" And I said, "Yes, he was good. He was one of the best." And they said, "How many trophies did he win?" And I said, unfortunately,
you should have said, "Here, go ask him about Richie Myler and how he played on the weekend," and then he might have heard some swear words.
People want the Leeds and Crisis special.
Well, we're only 2 weeks in.
I think come Sunday, Salford
win. I agree.
Yeah, I can't. It's going to be some win if they can beat Salford, because I was at Salford yesterday.
Well, I saw them last week. So.
Yeah, they're a good team, and they're playing really well, and they're very confident. So they're going to take some beating.
They set up well, aren't they?
They do. I mean, Jackson Hastings put a tweet up earlier today about his stats. He was just phenomenal. He was stepping players, setting up tries. I think he made 151 metres, which for a halfback is insane. He made a cover tackle on, I think it was Kieran Dixon, saved a try, at one end. It's phenomenal.
Excellent. So Salford 2 from 2. Peter has said just that. They will be in crisis next week when Salford beat them. I tell you what, we'll be doing our tips. Well done anyway, by the way, lads.
Oh, we're all good.
You got full houses last week.
I got a call from the legend this afternoon, just before I was picking my son up from school, and he wanted it made known that because I was sitting next to him and tipped after him, that he should get the credit for my perfect round to him, because obviously I just copied him.
Right.
And, his present sort of just,
See, I made a schoolboy error on the old media tipping, because on here I went for Hull. I went for Hull on the other one and went for Cass on here. And it's like, what are you doing?
I think that's what he does every week, because then he gets confused because he's always right, because he picks another team in different comps.
Yeah, exactly.
Our friend David, who is in Singapore,
who
does
David.
our spreadsheet,
has
made it even more colourful. And as someone who used to deal with spreadsheets when I had a proper job, used to get paid. He has made it all colourful and all singing and all dancing, so it looks even better now. I might stick at the end of the prediction show video, which is a big hit on the internet.
Yeah.
Someone's
It's
arrived.
a special guest.
Someone's arrived. Come in, sir. As I said to you earlier, listener, I've been absolutely hammered on social media today, so I thought, who better to get in than someone who gets hammered on social media every day? Mr. Sutton, you might just have to tuck in a little bit.
No, I'll stay out of shot.
No, you need to come in. We've been talking about
Aaron, stick to darts.
We've been talking about Aaron Murphy, Rod. Where do you stand on Mr. Murphy and his misdemeanors?
Look, a wise man said to me, better to be 2 hours early than 2 minutes late, which I obviously ignored. Well,
don't let me down here, Rod. Don't let me down. He's letting me down.
It didn't look very good, did it? To be honest with you. But that was a particularly bad example of the genre, wasn't it? But do you think it was actually a penalty?
No.
Got you? All right. Okay. Let's assume it was a penalty.
Right.
Then what?
So what you saying? You over-egged the pudding, or?
Well, I'll be very surprised if somebody hasn't had a word with him from either the RFL or his club and said, look, that's no good. You can't carry on like that. But professional sportsmen are there to win. They're paid to win. That's what they're paid to do. So,
as I said earlier, Rod, next week he's bringing the ball off his line and he gets someone's basically sitting on him as he gets up. He ain't going to get a penalty. They're going to go, you're a diver, mate. You're not getting one. Do you not think?
Don't know.
You can't tell me that doesn't happen.
What you mean? They'll go the other way.
If there's an element of doubt, they'll err on the side
Right,
of.
let me ask you this. If I punch you on the nose, are you supposed to A, do nothing, B, whack me back, or C, get yourself on the deck and don't get up until a card appears, preferably red?
Well, yeah, there you go. I get that.
The rugby league mantra is to do either A or B, isn't it?
C is.
But if
probably
you're a
the right thing
footballer,
to do.
C, you'd be drilled into you, get yourself on the deck and don't get up until the card comes out. So,
But people were saying
is that the professional thing to do?
People were saying on social media at the weekend, we thought rugby league was a tough sport. That is not the image we want to portray, is it?
What, Murphy?
Falling over
Not
like
really.
that.
It'd be the sort of soccer AM platoon moment, wasn't it? You know. Well, it was, wasn't it? That was a really bad example of the genre, isn't it? But there's somewhere in between the two, isn't there? There's somewhere in between Aaron Murphy and standing there and getting whacked on the nose and doing nothing. So where does the grey bit come with?
Oh, I think you're looking at two different things.
Well, they are. But right, if you're in a grand final, someone punches you, are you supposed to get them sent off, or do as much as you possibly can to persuade the referee that they should be sent off?
In that argument, you would argue that if you punch someone, you deserve to get sent off anyway, and hopefully the law would take care of that. We see, and I saw one on at Hull on Thursday. The penalty right on half time where Shenton was deemed to have been held down by Maludi that was soft at best.
Yeah.
Cast go up the other end and score a try, ultimately wins them the game.
Yeah.
There are always going to be controversial calls like that, but he overstepped the mark, Rod. Even
No,
you
I'm just look. It didn't look very good, and I'm sure he'll tell him not to do it again. But I mean, since the ball was first blown up, players at dummy half have waved their arms about, demanding a penalty, and the tackled man has wriggled around like a fish out of water, trying to convince the referee that he's being held. I mean, that's happened since time immemorial. What you're saying is that what the Murphy thing was just completely ridiculous, which it was, wasn't it? I mean, it was, but he did get the penalty. Got them out of trouble on their own line.
Use your example of the players punch say in grand final.
Yeah.
You look at Ben Flower and Hahaya.
Yeah.
Hahaya had actually, I think it was an elbow, wasn't it, that set Flower off. And then he retaliated.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, with extreme prejudice. And was sent off. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, Hahaya didn't need to feign anything there, did he? I mean, he was out cold. But look, the Murphy one was absolutely. It was so ridiculous.
Do we need to change the rules though and start saying to players, look, you can't do that?
What Aaron Murphy did?
Yeah.
Well,
I've made the point.
How bad do you want it to be?
If Aaron Murphy ran at us three or us four now, you're here. If we all collectively jumped on him, we wouldn't be able to knock him over. And yet Mickey McAlorum might have brushed him with a fingertip and he fell over. It's not what the sport's about. It needs to be cut out. It's cheating. It's cheating.
What, exaggerating contact?
Yeah, it's cheating.
Right.
It's cheating.
Okay. Well, I mean, so if McAlorum shoves him, how hard does McAlorum have to shove him before he can fall over?
I would say.
So this is the problem you're going to get into.
Right, yeah, I get what you're saying.
Because this is a ridiculous.
What we're going to end up getting next is there's going to be tackles and players are going to go down holding the face when they've been hitting the ribs.
Well, we did that last season when they needed a video referee.
Well, this is what I mean. So this
is
is
the
what I mean.
job, didn't they?
Yeah.
I mentioned a point. Earlier. Leon Price said, "Well, you're making them out of a molehill." At goal line restarts, when did this fad of coming and sitting down offside and every cat restart? We've had to change the rules.
That's a fair point.
I think we're going to have to do the same here.
Well, in the NRL, as soon as they brought in the video referee can look at head contact.
Oh yeah, everyone was going down like it was match.
Yeah. You're not telling me that the coaches haven't said, right, feel something on the end, just get on the deck, claim you can't get up, they'll have to review it before they play the ball. Worst case scenario, you have to play the ball. Best case scenario, we get a penalty.
7 times out of 10, they'd probably get a penalty.
And that's what happened in the Super League. And then they said to the video referee, now you can't come in and review. So they've changed the rules again here, by the way, you're right. They've now said the video referee can't come in and review something unless it's a red card. So any bog standard penalty. So they've changed the rule there. Yeah. So
you're right about going down. Because I remember Ash Handley when Wigan beat Leeds by a point last year. Ash Handley got smashed on the nose 20 yards out from the line. Clear high tackle.
Right.
Gets up, plays the ball. There's blood pumping out of his nose. If he'd have stayed down, he'd got a penalty.
And wasn't that when? Forgive me if I'm wrong. I think it was the same game when Sam Powell showed his smarts when he was caught in the face and he stayed on the floor and they got the penalty.
Yeah,
And
so-
listen, that's.
But
If you're Sean Wayne,
is
you
that
say,
a line
well,
in the
good-
sand
well
though?
done,
We need
lad.
to say, when people are criticising the sport, do we need to say, look, we need to sort this out, guys? Come on, we've got to be better than that.
Yeah, I think the problem was it was. I mean, it was just. I mean, I've watched it again and again, and I'm desperately trying, so I can argue with you. I'm desperately trying to find something that he might have stumbled off the ball, or he might have trod on the ball and fallen over. And I've watched it like 20 times, and I'm thinking, nah, even if I was your barrister, Aaron, I'd be struggling here to provide any kind of attempt to defend you. So you're right. That one's so ridiculous as to be laughable, but. There's loads of grey area ones,
There are
and that's the marginal ones. Is when you go down the line, and you think, well, hang on a minute, he did shove him there. If he'd fallen over a bit less platoon-like and got the penalty, what would you have thought then? Or is it just the fact that he went for the full Johnny Gielgud BAFTA award?
It was Brazilian 3.
It was
Somersault
Rivaldo. The
side.
ball hit me in the head and it hit me
Yeah,
in the knee.
exactly. We're under surveillance, by the way,
Horrible
because I can tell you that people from Huddersfield are watching this show live.
Well, actual
to
people
see
in
my-
Huddersfield
I mean,
attack.
to see my reaction.
No, well, I mean, as I said to you earlier, I said, if you don't want someone to criticise you for doing something that looks silly, then the best way of avoiding that is to avoid doing something that looks silly,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
Because no one's going to criticise you for doing something silly if you don't do something silly.
yeah. I think even his own teammates will be ribbing him about it. It was a shocker, let's be fair.
You can imagine there'll be some fun
It's
and
a line
games.
in the sand moment. For
Yeah,
me. It's a line in the sand.
Have the players' union haven't come out and said anything about it, have they?
No.
Because it is their members who are acting like idiots. They do realise that, don't they? And still don't behave on social media, by the way.
Mm, yes.
Some questionable things on social media, but do whatever they want. They're the players.
Speaking of on the field, anyway, we got hammered last week by Huddersfield fans for saying that they would lose last weekend. Well,
Oh,
they
what
did
happened?
lose, didn't they? I think we were fair in our assessment.
Convincingly.
Pre-game, what did you make of the game? I've not watched it all back.
Yeah, I only saw bits and pieces of it, but the effort was there. They're definitely trying, but just look quite clunky.
Tough times at the minute. They're missing a few.
Yeah, well, the young halfback's out. I think is it PCL. So yeah, I mean, I'm not sure who they've got in a 2 weeks time, but they definitely are up against it. And when you look at the start that Salford have made, and even London winning their first game, it's not going to be easy for them coming back.
They'll look though. They're only two off the
Yeah.
top, off the five. I mean, it's ridiculous looking at the league table earlier on, but who have they got next?
Warrington at home.
Not going to get any easier, is it?
No.
Nine Hull, I think, is it the week
Yes.
after?
Oh, there you go. There's 2 points.
So they've got a tough run, and then they got a Wigan. Not the time to be having injuries, Rod. Start of the season.
Well, probably better than the end of the season, Mark.
Yeah, possibly. Depends where they actually are on the table, I guess.
The result at Catalan for Huddersfield. I mean, look, they're playing away from home against a team with a far bigger wage bill, and that's where they would be concerned is losing at home to Salford, wouldn't it? I mean, that's not a good result by anybody's stretch of the imagination. So that's there'll be a cross against that, won't they? If for Huddersfield, if they get beat away at Catalan, get beat away at Wigan, get beat away at Warrington, those aren't going to be the games that they're sitting there looking at. And I think even though London won a game at home to Wakefield, I think most of those other clubs last season, when they would have been thinking, crikey, we'll be in the bottom four and then we're banging the cart if we get some injuries for the middle eights, I think most teams will think over 29 games, if we can't finish above London Broncos with the finances they've got, then we deserve to be in trouble. And that's the reality. There'll be lots of London supporters coming on Twitter now, but the bottom line is London have got a squad that shouldn't be able to finish above those teams. So if Huddersfield can't finish above teams that have got a much smaller wage bill, then they're going to have a problem, aren't they?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be panicking yet. Although that home to Salford is a poor loss.
Tom is I don't know if he's a Huddersfield fan or not, but he does say even with the players coming back, Huddersfield simply aren't good enough. Fancy them to go down instead of London.
No.
Tom, you're banned from the Giants training.
No, I'm not saying.
Throw
Look,
it.
they were the most improved team second half of last year when Wolford came in, weren't they?
They've done that every season. Well, not every season, obviously. The last 2 seasons, they've started like a drain and picked up halfway through for some
Usually sack the
unknown.
coach.
Sack the coach, sack the coach halfway through and then improve for whatever reason. Haven't they? They've had good runs towards the back end, both under Stone and Wolford, didn't they?
Yeah, that's right.
But that might just be a quirk of result. I don't know. But if you were Mr. Davey, you wouldn't be panicking just yet. I don't think.
No, not at all. Look, they've had a tough start. They've done it tough. The defeat at home at Salford with you, because people go, oh, you're going to talk Leeds in crisis, Leeds in crisis. Leeds have lost to the grand final winners and the grand final runners-up away from home. And if you're doing a form table or if you're predicting results, you're going to say, John, they probably would. They could have gone there, played out of the skin, and lost both games anyway.
Yeah.
So, we can't do a Leeds in crisis special just yet, Rod. Can we?
No. Well, if you did, like in football, they do expected goals and expected points and all that kind of stuff. If you worked out what Leeds' expected points were off the basis of the odds on those two matches, it would probably be less than 1 from those 2 games. So they haven't done anything that anyone would be surprised by. They've lost, as you just said, they've got beat away from home by 2 of the best teams in the competition. So, why would you be worrying if you were Leeds? I know I've read Scully's piece in the League Express today. He's almost incandescent with rage about Leeds.
Doesn't sound like Scully.
I mean, he's demanding he's demanding people being flogged and dropped after 2. I think, did he not say that Lola here and Marder should never be seen anywhere near each other ever again on a rugby field? I mean,
I do. In fairness, I would have to say I'd be very disappointed if in a race I didn't keep within 10 yards of Lola here over 100 yards. That was poor. I couldn't believe how slow he was.
He's never been quick though.
Well, when you say quick,
yeah.
I think there'd be some kind of description malfunction if you said he was quick.
My 5-year-old nephew, who I'm starting to think he could be the next big rugby league pundit. I was chatting to him at half time yesterday after I explained who Scully was, and he was telling me, why is he so fat? I won't tell you which player he was pointing at, but so I said, well, he's a professional rugby league player. Why are you so fat? I'm not professional.
Yeah, and Milo, obviously, his kicking was highlighted, wasn't it? And you'd expect, and leading Super League halfback to be able to get the ball nearer the field of play than row A, wouldn't you? So
I thought they started off all right.
They did. Well,
they did.
I thought
actually,
well.
they weren't actually as bad as the scoreline suggests, really, because they got, look, calls just go against you sometimes, but they had the ball, the offload that was called back for a forward pass, which wasn't. And they might have scored from that, and then Wigan's second try, there seemed to be a hint of a knock on, and those things just went against them. I think they weren't 18 points worse than Wigan. I didn't.
They were better than they were against.
They were better than
Wigan. Yeah, they started very positively, and you could,
I mean, the tries they gave away from kicks were ordinary. They were, if you were reviewing it, you'd think, God, that's not great.
Yeah.
But look, how many times have Leeds started at mediocre at best and ended up winning the competition or close to winning the competition? So
they could do with the result though, because they've got Saints the week after. I mean, Salford are 2 from 2. I think Salford will fancy tucking them up, John. Do you?
Yeah, definitely. The way Salford, not only the way their attack is going, but defensively. I mean, shutting London out, they were really good in defence. Their line speed, their energy. So it's going to be some game at the AJ Bell.
Rich, do you reckon? What do you think? Do you think they can get a win, Leeds?
I think this is the one I'm torn on when we come to the predictions later. I'm thinking Salford you should tip, shouldn't you? Because they've won the first 2 games of the season. They've looked good in those 2 games. But Leeds are going to come good at some point. But no, not this week. There has been a bit of a issue for them that they're playing this clump of games away from home, which everyone had a problem with when it was Toronto, but not when it's Leeds. Don't know why that is. But it's not been the easiest of starts for Mr. Ferguson's challenges, is it?
No, he's. I think they might be ruining that playing 4 away from home at the start of the season. It's going to make it tough for them. But it's not a 23-game season now. It's 29, isn't it? So they've got time to put it right.
Not by everyone home and away at some point. Some teams more than that. I would expect Leeds to start favourites at Salford.
The Challenge Cup.
Have you seen the odds, Mark?
No,
I've not
had a look. We'll have a look later.
Challenge Cup 3rd round draw's been made.
Go on.
Keithley, all new Keithley, all singing, all dancing. Cougar Mania's back. Taking on Dissington because you don't pronounce with the letters. Oldham versus Castlot Lane. Thatcher East versus Rochdale Mayfield. Wigan St Jude's versus Haydock. Newcastle Thunder versus West Wales Raiders. London Scholars North Wales Crusaders. Hunslet West Bowling. Workington Town versus Siddle. York Acorn Featherstone Lions. That'll be tasty. West Hull Dewsbury Moor. Doncaster Coventry. Up the Bears. And Whitehaven versus Wigan St Pats. There you go. So Wigan
Decent ties, that. Decent ties.
Just to intervene,
Oh, here we go.
Salford and Leeds are both quoted at 10 to 11 by the
All right.
competition sponsors Betfred.
So where would you go there then?
I'd back Leeds.
Would you?
Yes.
Okay.
And Hull KR are 1 to 4 to see off the London Broncos, who are 3 to 1.
What were London like yesterday, John? We mentioned Salford. We didn't talk about London. What were they like?
First half,
Nilled, obviously disappointing, but
yes, I mean it was 6-0 first half and at half time, and the first half they had no ball, but their defensive effort was amazing. You know, the holding plays up over the line, they were working their backsides off, and then came the second half, they just had nothing left. You know, they didn't offer a lot in terms of attack, but it wasn't a bad performance. You look at that scoreline, you think they played terribly, but they didn't. They played quite well, and I think you can sort of point to Danny Ward and the way he's got them drilled, and you know the way they approach the game. But Salford, I think, just you look at the two squads on paper, and they've got the much better squad, and that's how it panned out.
what do you think about London, Rod? How are they going to get on? Do you think this year? It's going to be tough, isn't it?
I think the likelihood is they'll finish bottom. You know, I mean, it's pretty similar. You know, I know they made a few additions, but basically there's similarities. What they last year, they've lost Sam, obviously.
Well, you talk about salaries and wages and how much you spent. Well, they've got a lot of cap left. A lot of cap left.
Well, I think they'd be around 1.2, 1.3 maybe.
So look, sport is played on a field, I know, but it's still a mathematical numbers game in terms of like, you know, the more salary you pay, the better players generally you get, and the better players you've got generally the better results you get. And of course, if you've got a threadbare squad, if you get injuries, you're even worse off. You know, the real big team can afford to lose some players and bring someone in of quality, but the more threadbare you are, the more problems you have. I don't know how many games they'd need to win to stay up. What would be a guess?
I think maybe
6 or
7, maybe 8. It's hard to...
6 or 7 wins.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they've got one. If they can keep beating teams like Wakefield and Huddersfield and Salford at home, so when they go back down there, they might have half a chance. I mean, really, they've got to drag as many teams into it as possible, haven't they? You know, they've got to keep beating these teams that would be expected to be in the bottom half and keep them down with them. And then, you know, if they can still be in the mix with 5 or 6 games to go with a chance, then, you know, see what they can do. You know, you've got to hand it to them. They can get into the division was not a miracle, but it was a magnificent effort. I mean, you know, let's have it right. To go away to Toronto and win, I mean, you know, the Super League teams got beat there, didn't they? I mean, Hull KR won there, but they had, you know, I mean, they were pushed to the very limits, weren't they? So to go there and, you know, keep Toronto trialless for 80 minutes, you know, it was a magnificent achievement, really, wasn't it? So they deserve credit for getting promotion full stop. And if they can stay up, you know, kudos to them.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it'd be very interesting, I think, to see what's ahead for London. Let us know your thoughts at 4020 Live on Twitter. You get in touch on YouTube and on Facebook. Lots of people doing exactly that. A lot of people asking, Rod, why do you hate Salford? Can you clarify that for the listener? You hate Salford, apparently.
Sky's own anti-Salford bias. That's what Ian Watson said.
Yeah.
I've been accused of hating almost everybody.
Yeah, I got accused today because I forgot to mention that Warrington were undefeated, so apparently I hate Warrington as well as Hull FC. You hate Hull FC, Albert Kelly, of course.
Definitely accused of
You hate
hating
Hull
Hull
FC.
Obviously.
Probably Hull KR as well, Leeds, Warrington, Wigan definitely, I mean, without question. London, yeah, Salford. I think Salford, if they keep their players fit, again, it's a bit similar to London. You know, if they get injuries to Louis and Hastings and Evalds,
they've only got 25 players.
Suddenly, you know, they're going to be in the car. If they can keep those fit, which is, you know, a big if in rugby league. I mean, no team goes through the season without injuries, do they? So, but I mean, I've backed Hastings to be man of steel at 40 to 1.
You would have been happy with how he played yesterday.
Where's the point? Where are the point?
I think they announced
tomorrow. Why is
that on a Tuesday, by the way?
I don't know.
They're having a drink tonight, so...
Why don't they...
Official launch?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't understand why that's not given to the broadcaster, to Sky, after the match, to go like, you know, whatever it was, Hull versus Castleford, McShane gets the 3, you know, whoever gets the 2, whoever gets the 1.
Be a good talking point.
You know, and it's, I think they're missing a bit of a trick there, aren't they? You know, but anyway, so you've got Hastings out for the 3 there, John?
Oh, definitely. I was at the game and he
drew a blank in the first game at Huddersfield.
Yeah, I think he was.
Have you got any
try. No. Well, the man you're replacing is a joke.
Is he?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, former minister.
I'm not saying he can be bought.
No, he can be bought.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, so yeah. I think Hastings can be outstanding. In games that Salford win against teams that are better than, I would expect Hastings to be at the forefront.
I think
Quite often, wouldn't you?
I think the thing with Hastings, that he seems very happy at Salford, but also he's got a bit of a point to prove.
Yeah.
Like, he's only got the 1 year deal. He's quite young. He wants to go back to NRL.
Yeah.
He knows if
Yeah,
he plays
yeah.
well here, he'll get. So it's like everything's pushing him towards.
Yeah. I'll tell just briefly.
Fine,
I'll tell you what I mean. You talk about the players not being there and made to be stars and the game not being promoted properly. I think Hastings, since he's walked into the country,
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic. I mean, he's always tweeting stuff, isn't he? And they were using him on
Kids
social media, go out and visit people, and give them their season tickets that they bought. I think Hastings has been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Really
He's
has.
one of the superstars
He's-
Elston wants, isn't
yeah,
he? If you like,
he's
from
become-
that side of it.
Second favourite. My second favourite. Now, my second favourite used to be Mahi Fanua till he went back. That was brilliant. But my favourite obviously is Gelling. He's fantastic. I mean, when he was over before at Wigan, he should cycle to work. And why? And I've said this time and time again. Why Gelling wasn't being pushed out front and centre as this sort of like eccentric madman?
Yeah.
To promote it out. And he does these brilliant Twitter stuff, doesn't he? Videos when he's on the Runcorn Bridge and all that. He's brilliant, isn't he? But Hastings. Also has been fantastic, hasn't he, on the social media and stuff, and he's pumping out content, and Super League needs to embrace people like Jackson Hastings, who's got something about him, a bit of character. And I mean, I know Galling's now playing championship, obviously a witness, but these people are worth their weight in gold to promote the game, aren't they?
Yeah.
They've got that confidence and that character to just go out and express themselves, and I think look, I know. A lot of these players coming from the NRL have had the troubles here, there, and there. But while they're here,
We've got to embrace them.
if they're that, they're bringing publicity, aren't they?
Well, Hastings has come out and he's held his hand up and said, I stuffed up.
Yeah.
This is my chance of redemption, and he's embraced it. So more power to him.
He's great in interview and stuff. So yeah. Good luck to him.
Is anyone at Super League pushing Jackson Hastings onto media outlets? Or the Rugby Football League onto Anthony Gelling and saying, speak to him. Eddie Batty was on the radio last week because he eats a sandwich in a comedy fashion.
Well,
Eddie Butty.
Yeah.
Eddie
Butts very good. Yeah.
I'll stole that from the Sun.
Did you? All right, fair enough. But all that's good. It's good fun, isn't it? It's Bristol City they've all nicked it from, isn't it?
The original one.
But fair enough. Listen, there's no shame in nicking a good idea
No,
from someone
no,
else,
no.
is there? So Bristol City have come up. Well, they've embraced it, and fair credit to London Broncos. I think they're great. Those try-scoring little videos, GIFs, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes.
I've got my own now as well.
Good.
Which is good. But the thing about it is he was on Hawkston Jack, was one of the best radio shows in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't buy publicity like that.
Yeah.
No, that's it.
Well,
That's
every
it.
week.
No, it's good.
Go on, what else is happening?
People want to talk about Warrington and Blake Austin. Now,
Yes.
I've only just seen this because there's a 3-second clip on Twitter,
Right.
which is filmed seemingly from far, far away. So it looks like he flops onto Joe Tompkins, who ends up going to hospital and
In
having
a
his
bad way,
He's
as
having a
described by
serious
his
concussion,
coach,
which
Tim
is obviously a
Jones.
bad thing.
He's out now, isn't he? He's out of
He's out of hospital, yeah. Blake Austin has not been charged by the RFL,
No.
and everyone's upset. I saw some of the Twitter reactions where Adrian Vowell said nothing wrong with the hit.
Right.
It did look late, it looked a bit of a flop, if you will.
Mm.
But it is difficult to tell from a 3-second clip what we're supposed to be judge and jury here.
Yes.
Obviously, those who make these things say it's not that bad. But of course, the rubber sorting to when Tompkins has been charged with something else.
Yes, he has. Wolves have made a good start to the season. 2 wins in 2 for them. Is it going to be their year, John? What do you reckon?
I think they're a huge chance to win a trophy this year. Yeah, I really do. I think they've got all the elements there. Obviously, Kevin Brown being out is a blow, but I think their squad depth is probably the best in Super League apart from St Helens.
Rod, is it going to be their year?
I back them.
Oh,
I
crikey.
don't know that.
Is that a good thing or a
I
bad
think
thing? Are the people rejoice? You see, if Scully had backed them, but everyone in Warrington now would be crying.
I just think 4-1 was a crazy price, and I think it was 72 to finish top. I'd be very surprised they're not in the front 2, which under the current system, the top 5 system, a mammoth advantage. Listen, teams could get injuries or all sorts could happen, but St Helens and Warrington look the best 2 teams,
Yeah.
and you'd be surprised if they weren't first and second or second and first. The Austin thing, I know everyone knows that I'm really big on player welfare, and generally I don't know why they haven't brought in an NFL rule, unnecessary roughness. There's no need to go jumping in on defenceless players on the floor.
Yeah.
There isn't any need for it. In the NFL, you watch like an NFL match, all you got to do is put your hand on a player,
Yeah,
and that's it.
The tackles.
And you know as well as I do, if you jump in like that in the NFL, they'll just throw a flag and you'll be 15 yards down the pitch.
Yeah.
But I mean, what's happened there is the camera angle that the match review panel have got is the same one that we've got, that single camera
from behind.
and
You
just
can't see really.
you can't. You haven't got. If it was a criminal case, which obviously it's not, the CPS would go, well, we can't charge him, man. We've got no conviction there. We're not going to go to disciplinary with that because there's not enough evidence to charge him. This is the anomaly. Now you can't tell from that angle. If we had the other angle, you'd have a clearer view.
Well, I spoke to a journalist who was at the game and said from that angle, it didn't look
good. But the match review panel haven't got that.
The one in the video. He's diving on him to slow them because he's made a break. So you don't know whether it's a shoulder charge or there is a swinging arm. You just can't see.
Or in the knee or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So the match review panel haven't got that. They've got no chance of sending that to the disciplinary with a charge, even if they like to, because there's no chance.
Yeah.
So the anomaly is, if that offence had been committed when Warrington played Leeds the previous week, it's a live Sky television game. And the Sky cameras everywhere pointing at it. They've got, the cameras all on the ground, high, low. They've got a pitch-side mobile camera with a mobile cameraman. And the evidence would be there to see if an offence had been caused. So the problem is, in 3 or 4 of the games each week, they haven't got the cameras, and therefore they can't make a.
It's not an even playing field.
So that's what's happened. They just haven't got the angle to make any firm, definitive judgment whether an offence has been committed that they can charge him with. So. The argument will rage on with that.
Yeah.
Warrington, which team you support?
What's that?
Warrington. Well, Stuart's accusing him of perhaps spending more than they were allowed to. Well, we'll find out, won't we, soon?
We'll find out in 2020, 2021 when they get deducted 2 points.
Right before the season starts.
It is a live cap. I don't know. We'll find out, won't we?
I mean, they're entitled to employ 2 marquee players, aren't they, for a kick-off? And then the actual salary cap. So, I mean, the amount you can spend is close to limitless now. If you want to pay a player £1 million, you can pay him £1 million. So,
It's not like the old days where clubs going to appoint players' wives as cleaners at their stadiums.
Oh, move on. We're not going there. An argument's broken out.
What's happened now?
No, about Austin's tackle.
It's
a tough one, isn't it?
A 3-second clip of it. There's not much I can say about the 3-second clip.
The problem you've got is that the disease of club centricity is absolutely rife, not only within the clubs but within the supporters of the clubs. Now, people who support Warrington will generally say it's fine, and people who say support Hull KR will say it's a disgrace and he should be locked up and banned for the whole of the season. If it had been the other way around, it had been Tompkins on Austin, the Warrington fans would be saying it was a disgrace, and the Hull KR fans would be saying there's nothing wrong with it. So that's why you've got an independent match review panel to consist. It's the same guys on the match review panel every week, the same 4 guys. Yeah. That's so to get consistency. And if they can't see it, they can't charge him. And that angle isn't. I mean, that angle isn't good enough to produce a case to charge anybody. That's the problem. They can't tell what actually happened.
Yeah.
Definitively. You might have an idea.
Andy said why are they getting a bad deal? Because Sky want them on every week, and like you said, disciplinary. You get refereed differently. You get punished differently.
And you get a video ref.
Yeah.
Which you know.
Interesting. Stuart says Sheen said it was a fair yellow and no more. That opinion will do for me.
I don't know what he said. I didn't hear him.
That's what he said. I mean, that's we'll see.
Matt's been on about Wigan.
Yes.
About their performance against Leeds. He's not really impressed too much. Leeds are rubbish, but we're only going to improve when we get used to the changes made by Lamb. Which are the same you could say for Leeds. So,
Yeah, fair play to Wigan, by the way. We announced today there's less than 500 tickets left for the weekend in their World Club Challenge. That would be good news if they sell that up. I'd be really pleased for them. That'd be a hell of an effort. And to be fair, when they come out and said we were going to sell it out, and easier said than done, as we know, but it looks like they're going to get there. 500 tickets left, so fair play. Yeah,
definitely.
Good. Big crowd. Can they win? Do we think they can beat Sydney? Scully does, which immediately leads me to think having about the Roosters.
Sydney.
Eastern suburbs.
Yes, the tricolours, the Chucks.
Yeah. All right, calm down. Where are you going, Rod? Are they going to win?
Well, they could win, yeah. Any outcome is possible in any match, Mark.
I've never heard you say that.
I mean, the most likely outcome is they'll get beat. Obviously, I mean they got caned when they went down there, didn't they? By the same club, the Chucks, the
2014,
the Easts, the Roosters,
Eastern Suburbs.
yeah. Didn't Joe Burgess score a couple of good tries in that match, if I remember rightly, before they got topped? And they got more. Obviously, look, they got considerable advantage playing at home, and they beat Cronulla, didn't they, when they were last over here, which was a couple of years ago. I would say the Roosters would be too. Well, Mitchell's not playing, is he?
No, he's decided to play in the
Indigenous
Indigenous
yeah.
All-Stars. Yeah.
So
So they take, I think, every
which is
the top player.
which is a shame if you want to go and watch the best players playing, which is the great opportunity of that game, isn't it? You know, when Thurston came over to play for the Cowboys against Leeds.
Cooper Cronk.
Yeah, so that's
He's actually said. I spoke to him last week, and he said, you know, obviously had the scapula, and he said he had surgery and done everything to be right for this game because he loves playing in the World Cup Challenge.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
Because I mean, he may play one after this year, but he's pretty much going to retire very soon.
Yeah.
So probably the last chance people in England get.
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, if you're neutral, it's a great opportunity to see some of the best players in the world, you know, playing on your doorstep, which obviously you only get once a year at best. So that's great. And you know, and Cronk's a smart guy, isn't he? I mean, you know, he's
Well, he won the grand final just pointing and directing. He didn't do much else. That's how good he is.
He's an embracer of these kind of games, and obviously Trent Robinson is, you know, as we know from being Tom the Super, he's a brilliant coach and a really, you know, a really great guy, isn't he? You know, and
He's international,
and he gets it as well.
Yeah.
So you know, so I think, you know, from the Super League's point of view, they're lucky that the Roosters won that competition,
Definitely.
aren't they? You know,
Yeah.
it's so much more embracing of the whole World Club idea than some of the other NRL teams, aren't they?
Yeah.
So it's good, and it'd be good to see Trent Robinson back in the UK. Yeah, definitely.
Well, I think it was Cronulla. What was it? 2 years ago, they were off in Paris.
Yeah.
You know, I think that was an extended holiday
Right.
for them. But the Roosters, it seems like they're coming here
Yeah.
to win, or you know, to try and win. They're taking it seriously. It's
Yeah,
not
well,
a,
they
it's not
played
a jolly up.
They played in the World Club Series as well, didn't they?
Yeah, a couple of times. I
Roosters.
think they beat St Helens.
Beat St Helens, didn't they?
Yeah. And they've gone early to go to Paris
Yeah.
to train with Toulouse, so they're obviously, you know, sort of
No,
going to
it's
see the World War One battlefields before
Right.
and then coming to Wigan, so they're taking it very seriously.
Yeah, it's good. So yeah, it should be a good contest.
Yeah, hopefully.
The World Club Series.
Bring it back.
Oh, yeah. Peter is doing a double header on Sunday. He's off to Salford versus Leeds, then on to Wigan.
So am I, yeah.
Versus the Roosters.
Doubling up, yeah. Looking forward to it. Should be good, really. Looking forward to that.
You're watching it on the telly.
Yeah.
So I hope in the
What
warm.
time do they kick off at Salford?
3 and 7.
Do you get out?
You've even
Yeah,
been
we're fine.
That's
we're
out the
fine.
car park, yeah.
Oh, man. Come on.
Tweet.
You'll be getting into bother. Let us know what you think about the World Club Challenge. Wigan on 0 points after they beat Leeds. No, I don't think there's any great worry for Leeds. I think they will get better. What have we made of Wigan, Rich, so far?
Well, they did quite well against the Saints. That seems to be the consensus, wasn't it? They got closer than people think. Again, like Leeds, they're a work in process, new coach. Lost lots of players last year, so they have to rebuild. They're losing that coach again at the end of the year to get new coaching. Depending on how Wales do in the World Cup. They beat Leeds. I thought they beat Leeds. They beat Leeds. So they were. Everything's gone the way we thought in terms of tipping.
Yeah, I think so.
Apart from Wakefield losing at London, everything's gone the way we thought it would on this programme. There's nothing to worry about because Leeds are where we thought they would be
At this stage.
at this stage.
Yeah. I agree.
People are having a go at us because we put them in the top 5 at the end of the season. You're just putting 12 teams in a list.
Yeah.
Some of them you know exactly where they're going to finish, or you think they are, and the others are a bit arbitrary.
I thought we saw in that opening game, Saints against Wigan, when Wigan didn't have a lot of the ball, they never give in, do they? Defensively, they'll stick at it and they'll always give themselves a chance. And I just sort of looking at that and thinking, that's why they'll be there or thereabouts at the end of the year, because they just do not give in. You know, it's very rare. I know Wakey did it, queued up on top bus and everything.
Oh, yeah.
When they batter them, it's very rarely Wigan get tucked up, isn't it? You know, they might lose, but they don't.
They
often
grind
get
out wins
battered.
better than anyone else in Super League.
Yeah, that game I watched, you know, you could see they were going to score late on. They always, every time I beat the DW, I think they score in the last 5 minutes. That's just what they do. Getting they'll be up there, Rod, top 5 Wigan?
Well, they probably be in the top 5, but I think looking slightly longer term, I think they could start to have problems because they're a club that's clearly cutting its wage bill for whatever reason. They've taken out 3 big earners, well, 2 big earners. Bateman and Tompkins has gone, they would have been their highest earner. Sutton's gone. I know they've got Hardiker in, who's probably getting paid less than his ability.
He would be,
Simply because of the disciplinary issues he's had, and Wigan can say, well, you can have this and like it. But that'll be a player that they'll have to pay more at some point, I would think. But they appear to be a club that's cutting its wage bill, and the outcome of that eventually will probably be that you'll get less good players and you'll get less good results. They can't be spending what Warrington are spending.
No,
They
I
can't.
think Dave.
So-
I think we've been told they are not spending cap. They're not spending salary cap.
It's back to the numbers game. I mean, they might get away with it, but if they get some injuries, they're going to have problems. Warrington must have the highest wage bill in the competition, and therefore they should win. They should.
It seems
They're
that-
most likely winners of the
It seems
competition.
that Wigan, though, they've made from a few years ago a conscious decision. The Wigan of old would bring in Trent Barrett,
Right.
Matty Johns, big name players. They don't bring in big name imports anymore. Talima Tatai and Gabe Hamlin. Thomas Luai obviously played at Wigan, has come back. He's not top ilk in terms of NRL. So they're investing in youth. And that's how they see.
Well, it's a question of how. I mean,
how long that lasts.
let's take George Williams. There's been clubs sniffing around George Williams, and now I don't know. They might say to Williams, right, we'll pay you.
Well, he's a monomarquee deal.
Yeah, okay, we'll pay you. But how long can they keep hold of players if NRL clubs or bigger spending UK clubs, Warrington, for example? I mean, they've got marquee players, but they could, can they keep hold of those players if they're not prepared to pay the money?
Yeah,
I don't know. The marquee rule may not actually suit Wigan. At this moment in time. I mean, Catalan Dragons must be amongst the highest wage bill in the competition, because you look at the players they've got. They're going to,
As the Euro fairing.
the Euro fairing. Absolutely, Johnny, spot on with that. But I mean, Catalan Dragons should actually the amount they're spending in the wage bill should really be up.
They should be in the top 5.
They should be in the top 5. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Catalan Dragons for sure this season. I mean, obviously the cup was great, but the barometer is always, what happens in the league, isn't it? At the end. So, it'll be interesting to see what Steve McNamara's team can produce this year, because there's a lot of, there's not more than 2 marquee players, but there's a lot of what you would call marquee players, aren't they? Star players, in that Catalan Dragons team. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on.
Yeah, well, indeed. What's happening in social media?
People arguing about the spelling of the word marquee, because it is the internet. That's what people do. Elsewhere, Steve says that Wigan was solid. Leeds beat themselves. Too many errors, no composure. If Furness sorts them out, they'll compete. 5th, you've probably called it right. I can't remember where I put them.
They'll get better. Leeds will get better. There's no doubt in it. But I saw enough in that opening 15 minutes to think, there's something there. I thought Brett Ferris had a good game. I thought
much better than the first week, wasn't it?
I think he's going to enjoy life under Fern. I think that we'll see a bit better from him.
As they pointed out on the telly, he's a lot smaller than he was last year.
Yeah.
Because he had injuries last year.
I think the issue, apart from obviously the halves partnership, seems to be the forwards. There seemed to be another game where they got beaten in the middle, and if your forward pack is not going forward as halves, it's very hard.
Rich made this point last week. You've signed 3 good big name signings and put them into what was a very poor, underperforming team last year. I've also raised a point this week. Again, it's circulated. Cuthbertson, Parcell,
same rumor from last year. Yeah.
Is that I can categorically confirm
to offload those players?
they've been trying to offload them all through the winter.
I don't understand that.
And that it's still coming out that they don't want. I'm not being rude. If you're Adam Cuthbertson, you're going to be busting in goal for Leeds.
They re-signed him last year.
Well, exactly.
Well, what are they trying to do there? They're trying to free up the salary cap or just cut the wage bill? I don't know what they're trying to achieve.
Well, they've just offloaded Walters and Ormonroyd have gone back to gone to Featherstone.
Yeah.
So again, I mean, you're not going to save a lot of money there, but why would you not keep them in the squad?
I don't know, and you think that you'd be trying to do this kind of business before the season started, not 2 games. I don't know exactly what Gary Hetherington's strategy is there, to be honest. I mean, what you're saying is they should be signing someone like to beef up the pack, someone like Mitch Garber. Would he be the kind of player that Leeds could do with?
Well, exactly. I don't understand why they've let him go. Clearly his face didn't fit or whatever. I don't know.
Well, I mean, as you know from any sport, when a new coach comes in, some players he fancies and some players he doesn't fancy, and if I don't know what's happened, but if David Furness says I don't fancy Garber and Cuthbertson, we need to get rid of them, or we need to bring in X, Y, and Z, then that's what happens when the coach changes. But in rugby league, with the salary cap sport, it's very difficult. With football, you can just stick someone in the
Adam Pearson has found that out.
It's hard
from last year.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Adam Pearson was making all manner of promises about what he was going to do to the squad when they were getting towelled 80 by Warrington,
which he couldn't do.
Which he couldn't do.
Yeah.
It's difficult, isn't it, to shuffle your pack.
Don't mention Hull will upset that fella again. Oh, he's not listening to us this week.
Oh, I don't know.
He unliked the page. I saw the stats.
The Hull guy who said we were picking
Gutter
up.
journalism.
We
this
got
programme.
told off last
Journalism?
week. Did you see that about Adam Pearson's soup?
Soup? No, I
Yes,
didn't see the
because
soup.
we said about the soup's not very nice, and a guy said he was going to stop watching the show because we criticised the soup. I felt like saying on Friday, on Thursday night, someone check on it because obviously they lost again. 13 straight defeats now.
Well, someone's asked a question, and we'll ask the question again. How long has he got left, Lee Radford?
Whoa.
Because what happens? Because
He's got a bit of time.
something
Has he?
something
I think he's
must
got
have
the
gone
runs
wrong.
on the board and had a
Something
bit
must
of
have gone wrong somewhere. Have the players stopped listening to him? Are the players not good enough? I mean, we've tipped them to finish low down the table. So that would suggest perhaps the players at Hull aren't good enough. I don't know.
Well,
Are
they-
expectations too high?
They've lost it. I mean, as John just said, I mean, let's have it right. I mean, they did win the Challenge Cup two years running in 2016
And
and
finished in the top
2017
four,
with
I
like
believe.
epic victories at Wembley. Yeah. And I mean, they were a win away from reaching the grand final twice.
Mm.
You know, they lost at Wigan one year, didn't they? And
Leeds.
lost Leeds. I mean, and that Leeds game
And
was
both
yeah.
games didn't turn up in the first 40 minutes.
No,
They
but
were
I
behind
mean,
in both
yeah.
I
games.
mean,
weren't they?
by the end against Leeds, I mean, they weren't. You know, you got the feeling if they'd gone on 10 more minutes, they
It
might
was
have
a
won the
close
game.
game,
You know,
yeah.
so they had that bad run with injuries at the end of the season. But of course, the problem is, the higher the expectation, the bigger the pressure on the coach. So if you're expected to finish 10th and you finish 11th, well, so what? But Hull's expectation is to be in the top 5, and if suddenly Hull are 8th and 9th, then
But have
Lee Radford gets questioned.
have they paid the penalty? We saw Sir Alex Ferguson when he won the league, and I remember one year he got rid of loads of his stats. Stan went, I think Kanchelski, he got rid of a load. And went,
well, that was you won't win anything with kids year.
we need to freshen things up. Yeah, but he has been known
Yeah, but that
to
was
get
the year
players
you can't
going.
win anything with kids.
But have Hull committed too long to players that maybe
Well-
are not quite as good as they once were?
So what you're
I
saying
think
is that their wage bill is tied up with players that aren't actually playing, or when they are playing, they aren't any good.
No, I won't say they're any good. I
Name
said they're not
names
as
now.
good as they were.
Are you talking about halfbacks or?
No, well, all right. And I'll say, I thought Minicello had his best game. I've
Okay.
seen him play for a
Right.
long time. Would you? He's
Okay.
quite old. They'll talk about culture,
And he'd
etc.
be on the
etc.
fair wage
Right.
as well.
You know,
Not
Sika
going
Mana
forward.
is a Sika Mana we see at Hull, the same guy we see playing at Tonga. I'm not so sure he is. I think the guy that pulls on his
Kelly.
international shirt
How's
is
he
a
doing?
better player.
Kelly.
Mark Sneed. I mean,
Kelly.
Scully's not
Exactly,
here,
yeah.
but Mark Sneed. You know, who is it? Lee Radford going to play at halfback
Well-
when they're all three are fit?
Well, Connor will be one, won't he? Connor's the. Am I
Or
wrong?
could you
it's
play
Con-
him?
Connor's
Or could
their
you
best
play him?
player.
I'd play all three. I'd play Connor in the
Connor's
centre.
been a great signing, to be fair. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're talking about signings. I know that was contentious and there was all sorts going on, but the signing of Connor, who, you know, any one of the big clubs could have gone to Huddersfield and said, "We fancy this boy Connor. We'll take." I mean, Hull took the player, and that's been one of the best
But
signings.
in fairness,
in the
because
last few
he's
years.
got a new contract. Is that one of their big? Because
Right.
they got him relatively cheap out of Huddersfield because he wasn't on a lot of
No, he
money
wasn't.
there.
Well,
And then have there to upgrade him. Is he now one of their
Well, one
top
of the-
stars?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, he's worth what they're paying, I would imagine. But one of the problems is that their off-season recruitment was underwhelming at best, wasn't it? I mean, including signing players that already let go.
Yes, exactly.
Well, what was that? I mean, you know,
And
so
signing players from the
so
championship.
you got rid of a player and then you sign him back 2 years later.
Yeah. And a player and fair play to John. I like John Thompson. We've said it on this show. We were surprised he went down to the championship.
Yeah,
But ultimately, for the cup finals, he couldn't get in the 17.
exactly.
Could
But if
he?
they thought he wasn't good enough 2 years ago, why do they think he's good enough now? Or whatever
Yeah.
it was. But you know, so that was underwhelming. And then this season they've lost a couple of terribly, haven't they? I mean, it goes without saying that they could have beaten Hull KR.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and they might have beaten Castle. I mean, Hull KR, if they don't concede the try right at the end there, then they win the game, and then what happens from them, we will never know. But you know, the longer the losing streak goes on, obviously the more the questions that get asked. So they're away at Wigan, aren't they? That's the next game, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we're going to be coming off the back of the Sydney game. So, and Holland had a rest. Whether that makes any difference, I don't know. But you know, the longer they keep losing, eventually questions get asked more and more, don't they?
And
So
that's
it's-
when you are losing,
Yeah.
it becomes a habit,
and so,
and it's hard to get out
I
of.
mean, how many games will they have to lose on the trot before it becomes a crisis? Holding
Holding
crisis. You know, I mean, they might beat Wigan, and then there's going to be worry about it. You know.
No.
I just think I don't want him sacked, by the way. just in case people take that the wrong way.
Well, they're going to
The
lose
way I
Scott.
phrased the
Are they
question.
losing Scott Taylor?
For 3 games.
Three
He's got a
games.
2-game and a
That's
1-game
a
ban.
Am I right in thinking that Lee Radford's contract's up at the end of the season?
Yes. And his coaching staff.
Right.
Roy has
Um,
said they need a big clear out.
Well,
half line or
the
squad?
But then the other
After
question you've got to
squad
ask is,
contract.
do you think anyone could do any better than Lee Radford? You know,
Well,
because
this is the
family,
salary cap, isn't it?
remove the coach. All right, remove the coach. Who do you want instead? And then people look at you blankly. They usually come out with Wayne Bennett. You know,
Rob, you're going to have to open the door, but you cannot, under any circumstances, divulge who is stood on the other side of the door because it could be someone from the RFL.
It's Brian Barwick, isn't it?
I've got a message.
Is it Brian?
Brian, thanks for that.
A big hello for
I've
Brian.
got a message for Ralph later.
Oh, right,
Derek
okay.
says we should review Hull after 6 games once we get the first
Pass that
place
along.
back.
This is
Lee Radford deserves time to
That's
turn it around,
smart.
and it's the players not producing. While we're having this break, the Man of Steel panel has been announced,
Is
listeners.
this for public consumption?
It says
Yes.
immediate
Press
release.
release.
So yes, well,
Thanks, Brian.
well, every breaks in barbers these days. Anyways, after the Times did the.
Sorry, that was a Man of Steel bell.
Do you remember the Times revealed the Man of Steel before the Man of Steel was revealed? That was possible. So on the panel is, as we already know, Ellery Hanley, MBE,
Yeah.
Dennis Betts,
Yeah.
asterisk, Phil Clark. I don't know what the asterisk is for. Phil Clark, TV's Phil Clark.
Yeah.
Paul Cook,
Yeah.
friend of the show. Earl Crabtree, another friend of the show. Jonathan Davis, OBE, asterisk, adding to his money from the
All the
BBC.
people will not be
John
happy about
Keatsey.
that, I'm sure.
What's an asterisk? I
don't
know what it
we'll
is,
find
but
out.
what's it signify?
Robbie Hunter Paul. Robbie Hunter Paul off the radio. Chris Joint. Andy
They've
Lynch.
won it! They've won it!
Shut up, Rod.
Oh,
Shut
it was
up.
marvellous. St Bernard's on now. That was the best bit of it, wasn't it? When Long stuck St Bernard's head off.
You don't even know how to kick the goal.
I have to say, I said this when it was the anniversary of it, or whatever it was.
Magnificent.
If you listen back to that commentary from Eddie and
brilliant.
Steve,
It's the best ever.
that was that's how it should be now, in my opinion. It was two people going off their rocker. They told us exactly what had happened, and the emotion of it. I just thought it was brilliant.
It's still the best.
It's
rugby
brilliant.
league
It's
competition ever.
fantastic. Yeah.
Andy Lynch, Brian McDermott, Adrian Morley, Terry O'Connor, Martin Afire, MBE, asterisk up arrow thing,
Right.
Jamie Peacock, MBE, Mal Reilly, OBE, arrow thing, Jason Robinson, OBE, Gary Schofield, OBE, asterisk and arrow,
Ridiculous appointment.
Paul Skullthorpe, asterisk, Keith Senior, Johnny Whiteley, MBE, up arrow. I don't know what the arrows mean.
All right. Well, you can have a look
I'm
at
gonna
that.
find out, but
Some good
they-
games on there.
Oh, right. If you've got an asterisk, you're in the Man of Steel. If you've got the up thing, you're into the Hall of Fame as well.
All right. So the asterisk signifies a Man of Steel winner.
Former
Right.
Man of Steel. There are plenty of people on there who haven't won it, but people won't moan about who's on the thing anyway.
No, well,
And Robin's
there's-
already started. So.
They're some of the greatest, names that have ever played rugby league, aren't they?
Yeah.
A lot of them are iconic figures of British sport. Never mind rugby league. So I think that I quite like the new Man of Steel thing. But what I would say is I wish they'd put the 3-2-1 scores out earlier than Tuesday after. Sort of like dropping it in at a random time on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Let's give it
Sunday afternoon or after the last
do it
game.
after each.
Yeah.
I think you should do it after every match, or give it a bit of oomph. Let's make a big play of it. That's the whole point of it, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to reveal who the votes were for yesterday at Wakefield St Helens.
Where are they?
But I can't.
It was Danny Brough got all three, didn't
Danny
he?
Brough got all three. But I know what they are because I knew the person who did them pretty much straight after the game.
Schofield.
I don't know. I don't know who's on that list I was speaking to.
The man who stole all the
It was
chips.
Robbie Hunter Paul.
Well,
So,
the thing
so
is,
they're doing it straight.
they've made a play of like not revealing who's at each match, don't they? Because again, there's been these accusations of bias.
Oh, well, I shouldn't have said
which is
that.
quite ridiculous. I mean, it's a bit like the judiciary. They're beyond reproach, aren't they? It's like there's no bias. So, but of course, if you see someone at the ground sat next to the RSW, then you'll know that he is in fact the judge.
Well,
Just by smelling a pint, and you'll
And
get a point to anyone.
then when you see the RSW logging into his betting account, seeing what the latest updated odds are
Yeah, I mean-
on said competition.
Oh, don't reveal
comment.
that.
Eh?
In fairness,
Get him banned.
that person before the game said he was going to vote for Craig Hubie, and then he got injured. So you can't trust these votes until after. We can trust all those people. You can't trust the players, as we saw last year.
But you were saying about changing the coach. I mean, get rid of Tony Smith, bring in Steve Price, do all right. Get rid of Rick Stone, bring in Simon Wolford, do quite well.
Yeah, but you got to bear in mind that there's always a narrative, and
Yes.
what happens here is that the occasions that the coach gets changed and the results improve, there's this great hullabaloo about it. Nobody remembers the time when you changed the coach and the results stayed the same, or you changed the coach and the results
Witness last year.
change the coach and get worse, get even worse.
Leeds.
And
Yeah,
the other
Leeds,
thing
yeah.
is, nobody's got any idea what would have happened if they hadn't changed the coach.
Yeah.
The results could have improved anyway.
Yeah.
Nobody's got any idea. So, you know, I mean, there are rare occasions when, you know, the coach has had enough, or, you know, you'd have to assume that at Manchester United and Chelsea, when Mourinho was there, that it appeared to be that the players had enough completely, and, you know, they decided that was it, and the coach had to change when the manager, in Mourinho's case, changed and results changed. But generally, if you swap one elite level coach for another one, unless you swap all the players are what win matches in the end. If you've got the best players, you're more likely to win. So I think changing the coach is an overrated thing. So to go back to Hull, if you say, if people are saying, well, Radford's got to go, who do you think is going to be any better?
Warren Bennett.
Warren Bennett, that's you. Warren Bennett, right. Okay. So you know,
You can't coach everyone.
you can't coach everyone,
No.
and so the most important thing is to get better players into the club. Now you might say, well, if Lee Radford goes, we'll be able to recruit. Someone will recruit better than Radford. That might be the case. I have no idea. But the fact is, Hull's results under Lee Radford have been pretty good,
Yeah.
judging what
Over
they're
the whole
spending.
tenure, yeah.
And you've also, as I keep saying, you've got to bear in mind, if you're going to try and compete with Warrington, you know, at the moment, Warrington are spending big and they're signing and they're paying big wages, and they'll get better players generally.
From what I understand with Hull, speaking to someone there, is that they're not, you know, for the marquee policy, they're not going to have marquee. So,
Okay,
if
so-
yeah.
right, so-
when you've got Warrington and St Helens who are in Wigan who have at least one or two
Right.
marquees,
okay.
then yeah, it's always going to be hard.
Okay, so it's not just paying the marquee. It's not just paying the marquee big bucks, John. It's the fact that frees up more of your
Yes,
salary cap, doesn't it?
exactly,
Because
yeah,
they're not on
bring it
your
up,
salary
yeah.
cap. So
Yeah.
if Hull, call the figure two. If Hull's wage bill is 2 million and Warrington's is 2 million plus two marquee players at 300 or 400 grand a time, Warrington's wage bill is like 2.8 million and theirs is 2. Well, over the period of time, you're going to struggle to compete. So I think what we're moving in Super League now with these rule changes, and I think more will come as well. You're moving more into a Premier League scenario where the big teams will have the big money and they'll get more of the big players. And if you don't want to spend, you're going to struggle to keep up.
But
I don't know. That's
is it
why
not
Michael
worrying
Carter
more, is it not worrying
made that
more
point.
this year that, as I understand it, there's less teams than ever spending the salary cap this year?
It seems to be. Was it? I heard that someone was saying there was only 3 or 4 who were spending full cap. Which,
Well, that's,
you know,
that's an interesting one because with the change of the structure, you've only got to be able to finish 11th now.
yeah.
Right, last year you were in the cart if you finished 12th, 11th, 10th or 9th. And teams that finished 9th went down. Holcombe were 9th, weren't they? When the
I was told,
so you can
Rob,
get into trouble there. Now you can effectively you can spend less and probably get away with it.
I was told, don't know how good this information is, that both Hull clubs, when they saw London had come up, thought,
Right.
we'll be alright what we've got.
Right, okay.
Rather than, we need to go out and spend some more
Right.
money.
Well, that all
As
depends.
if Toronto had come up, they might have gone, we need to spend
Well,
some
look
more
at
money.
look at Hull KR. They let go like 13 players, and they only brought in, I'm not sure exactly 5 or 6, but they seem to have brought in a better
They've gone
quality,
quality rather than
than
quantity,
quantity.
haven't they?
Yeah.
I mean, this is another thing. It'd be very informative, but both for people just watching the game as a spectator, but particularly for us punters, Mark, if we knew what the wage bill of these clubs was. With football, you know, I know football statistics. You can get it because it's published by Deloitte or whatever. You know, they'll tell you that Barcelona's wage bill is this and Tottenham Hotspur's is this or whatever it is. We don't get that information with Super League. But
No.
if clubs are spending less than the cap because they think that's enough to finish above London, you know, it depends what you're trying to achieve. If you're trying to win the competition, you're going to have to spend. If you're just trying to stay afloat, then you don't have to spend as much.
You see, I raised that point last year and I got hammered for it. And I said, there's not enough teams trying to win Super League. And I mean that genuinely. There's not enough. There's too many teams are happy to be in it. And I think that drags the competition.
That's allied to a lack of money in the game, a lack of investment from outside sources, or whether it be into clubs. But there is just a lack of additional money coming in.
Yeah.
That can then be pushed.
Wakefield,
into clubs.
the example it shows, if you spend your money wisely, you can
Yes.
put together a
You
squad
can
that
punch
can
above your
compete.
weight. Yeah.
And you can, you know, especially now when it's 5 now. If they match what they've done the last 2 years, they will make the top 5. They're in the playoffs. They could win the competition. I just think there's too many. And I probably aimed it at Widnes, I think, last year, where a team that just seemed happy to be collecting their Super League money every year.
Well, they got found out.
And that's, you know, it's like Sunderland. They were always hovering above relegation.
Oh,
you can't keep doing it without
if
one
you keep,
game
if
of
you
a
keep
bad
playing
game.
Russian roulette, eventually
Yeah,
you're
you'll shoot, yeah.
So, but you know, Wakefield do Get Carter does a terrific job at Wakefield, and Chris Chester, you know, whoever's doing the recruitment, I don't know if it's Michael and Chris or a combination of whoever it is, whoever's doing that is identifying players that they're managing to attract to their club and pay them less than their actual ability is worth, and they've done that consistently over the time, and then if necessary they sell them on. I mean, they sold Tautai to Wigan, didn't they? Tim Smith went to
Well,
Salford.
what they have done well
I mean,
now,
so
Rob,
Johnston on the wing. Sooner or later, somebody will offer Wakefield enough money, and
That
they'll
they
have
can't
to.
refuse.
They've had it numerous times,
Yeah,
haven't they?
Yeah,
but
but what they've done,
eventually they'll
Rob,
have to. I'm sure they'll have to let him go if the right amount of money comes.
and what they've done, and this is credit to the owner and to the players,
Good,
clearly enjoy
fantastic
it.
job.
They've signed them on long-term deals,
Yeah.
so they've
Yes,
got
so
they've
the
got
value is
assets
higher.
now.
Yeah, no,
they've got
yeah.
assets.
Listen, that's a brilliantly run rugby league club, Wakefield, because they know what their resources are, they know what their limits are, they work within that budget, within that limits. If you're a Wakefield supporter like the RSW, you'd have to say that these are halcyon days. The only shame about Wakefield is RSW. You feel that they should have got to a cup final. That would be brilliant, wouldn't it? If they managed to win one of those cup semi-finals.
Backs
Yeah.
them every year. Backs
Just
them
that
every
big,
year.
get that big day out.
Wasn't it last week Chester out after the
Chester
London
out,
loss?
like, Chester's back in, it's Brough out.
Rough,
All right.
yeah.
The great news about Bellevue is they've
What's been knocked down?
No. Oh, they've
Yeah,
improved
you
the
killer.
media facilities.
I saw your video on
There's a video,
Twitter.
yeah.
It was quite hilarious.
You-
with
you,
the
you
Super Bowl
tables.
2000. Yeah, marvellous. Yeah.
That's what it was called. New tables in the press
Wow.
benches.
Mhm.
There was some
No
season
wonder
ticket
they-
holders were expected to sit in those benches, but never mind. And new plug sockets.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
So
No expense
some
spared.
radio stations don't have to blag it off other radio
Ah, right,
stations.
okay.
But,
Very good.
can I just talk about local radio for a moment?
Yes, go on then.
'Cause
fire
I've
away.
got a message for Ralph Rimmer, who is the head of the Rugby Football League, I believe,
Yeah.
and Robert Elston, who is the head of Super League, and I want them to realise that the world does not begin and end at Sky TV, although they are the most important people we have, and the BBC, who are also important to an extent, although they don't think we're that important. There's been lots of takeovers in local radio in the last 7 days, which concern me, because when big groups buy smaller stations, changes tend to happen. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. Nothing may happen, but many of these stations cover rugby league and cover rugby league all throughout the year, not just when there's no football. And I would say, Ralph, Roberts, if you don't mind being on first name terms, you need to go out there and you need to speak to these people and win the hearts and minds over, because who knows what's going to happen in the future. It's very easy for local radio stations under budgetary constraints. You know, someone's moaning that we haven't bought sponges to put under the microphones. I can't get to the pound shop to buy them. We haven't got the budget.
Times are hard.
It's easy for local radio stations to bin off rugby league coverage or bin off football, because it is expensive, because you have to pay people to go and you have to have lines there and everywhere, rather in favour of someone playing music for 3 hours, which is cheap. So we need to say to these local radio stations, and this is a job for us all, how important the coverage is, how much you enjoy the coverage, let the management know. And the Super League and the Rugby Football League should be doing the same as well, because who knows what will happen in the future. They may not be there, and they're an important outlet for our sport. Local media, we see newspapers are falling apart around our ears. They're not what they were, because everyone wants everything for free. I think you pointed this out on Twitter yesterday. Someone's talking about...
Oh yeah, and I got savage for
Yeah.
it because the chairman of the NRL, Peter Beattie, who was the Premier of Queensland, the state, he's now the Todd Greenberg's superior or equal, I guess, and he was pointing out to someone who clicked on a Daily Telegraph rugby league story, don't buy the paper, just go to a cafe where they have papers around. Yeah. Anyway,
we need to do what we can to protect our little fiefdoms, because otherwise we'll be just left to the BBC and that's it.
Okay.
But, you know,
The figures were out for the Super League games, weren't they, for the opening week?
yes, I went onto the Barb website, and I don't know if I'm supposed to knock them off or not, but I've credited them, so it's all right.
Go on then.
$250,000 for Saints and Wigan
Right.
on the Thursday night. I'm trying to get back.
Is that
Quarter
Is that
of a million though. What's the England Rugby Union women
Well,
yesterday?
that's another thing, isn't it? We need to talk about.
So
yeah, is that, as someone who has worked for Sky and Rod, is that a good figure for a Sky?
$250,000.
Yeah.
That's
What would be the average over the last
They'd
few?
be pretty pleased with that, I'd imagine. Yeah. you know, it goes without saying that the big games and the big teams attract more viewers, and then as you get towards the playoffs, those games are more fun. The grand finals, obviously, the highest audience. So yeah, the quarter million would be a good figure for St Helens versus Wigan.
124 for the Hull derby, 91 for Warrington Leeds. So as someone pointed out, it was up against Leeds United playing football, and I think England win the Six Nations done at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, that was Ireland versus England.
Yes,
Six Nations
it's
game.
quite good.
You know, look.
ITV or
Yeah.
Was it? Or was it a BBC game? That?
No,
Oh, I don't
ITV had the England game on this weekend.
Yeah, I think it was a
Oh,
BBC
yeah,
game.
BBC.
Ireland v
Oh, was it?
So
I had to keep up.
yeah.
Terrestrial
But
TV.
anyway, it's a terrestrial TV event on the BBC involving the National Rugby Union team. So
Yeah.
you know, look, it's tough to go up against that. Well, on Thursday night, you got to go up against Premier League darts.
Well, indeed.
Yeah.
It's a tough choice. Only two
Hint,
screens.
hint, nudge, nudge.
And,
Where are you going this Thursday?
This Thursday's in Glasgow.
Glasgow.
oh, Glenn Durrant.
Glenn's playing. Yes, he's playing Darryl
We got to the
Gurney.
final yesterday.
Yeah.
And interesting.
And there's no rugby league to go up against. So
Oh, no.
it's
Oh,
not
so
Premier
well.
League
Oh,
darts.
darts,
are
yeah,
still
that's
good,
good.
so.
We used to just stick to the darts one, is that right?
Hashtag
Stick to darts. Hashtag stick to darts.
Well, one of your mates is what? Nigel Pearson's watching. Your buddy.
Oh yes.
Nigel.
Good evening, Nigel.
And interesting.
Big Feff fan.
Well,
is
yeah,
he?
he looks he's off to watch York.
Yeah, he
Well,
is,
he
yeah.
goes to all
Um,
sorts of outposts of sporting prowess, Nigel. So
Is that the Nigel?
Nigel Pearson. He's been known to be at Post Office Road.
Lives in the next street. Isn't he?
Yeah.
Seen him cycling around.
Oh, Chris Moyle Stadium. And interestingly,
No,
the
it's not.
number was for York Toronto. Despite reports to the opposite, 48,000, and not the 86 people saying. Now I don't know if.
Now, what are you going to bear in
86
mind?
is a big number.
What are you going to bear in mind? There's different figures. See, there's different figures. So depending on what you were trying to achieve,
That's
there's
the
a
fudging of things.
well, yeah. Well, there's obviously an average viewership, and there's a peak viewership,
Correct.
which clearly the peak viewership is going to be considerably more than the
And the
average
peak
viewership.
is bollocks. Because
You said, what are you
5
doing?
million
Hey,
people
hey,
might
hey,
turn
it's
up
in
for a
Australia.
second.
It's in Australia. Come on,
Well,
now.
hey,
Oh.
come on.
I don't want to get political. Let's
But
move
so,
on.
so
Let's
you
move
know,
on.
so you know, you've got to be comparing like with like all the time, haven't you? So you compare all the averages. All
And
the
with
peaks.
ratings, you compare averages.
Yeah, averages.
I have got a query though. You mentioned the Women's Rugby Union.
Yes.
So they got quarter million watching. Looks a great game. It was in Donny, by the way.
Yeah.
I knew who the woman who kicked the goals for England was. 'Cause
Yeah.
I've seen her
Oh,
on the
I've seen
advert.
that ad, yeah.
I've seen her on the advert
That ad's
practicing.
on 50
You know, and I
times a
thought when I saw that, I thought she's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
miss this. I've seen her kick this on the telly 300 times. I see it every week. But we know who that lady is.
Yeah.
We don't know who the English
But
rugby
this
league
is-
ladies
This
are.
is our fault again, isn't it? Because we've decided foolishly that rather than throw the coverage at someone for free, we're going to stick it on an app that the only people who are going to watch
yeah,
the
but
rugby league.
you've got to bear in mind here, the England Roses, the women's team, are miles down the track. You know, in
Oh, of course,
terms
of
of
course.
you know where they are in terms of the development,
Getting paid.
how many years that has been
Yes, I get
promoted,
that.
and they're fully, you know, these are professional players with the RFU putting a load of money, and same with the ECB with the women's cricket, and you know, again, the more money you invest in make these women professional athletes, the better results you get and the better performance you have. And the England cricket won the World Cup, obviously the Rugby Union.
Do we not
won
need
the
to
World Cup.
publicise though?
But
Are we doing that enough
No.
for our women?
No, we should be publicising it more. You know,
Yeah.
you know, obviously I watched the Challenge Cup final in the Castle. You know, it was some terrific, it was a great game, wasn't it? Brilliant
Yeah.
game. But we're a long way. I mean, it's still embryonic, the women's game
Yeah.
in rugby league, isn't it? It's only a couple of years in, so it's very difficult to compare like with the women's rugby union
I
team
never,
who've been playing at an elite level and with elite funding for years. You know,
But I think our point is that's there to be watched. Our is on the app where
Yeah.
90,000 people
Right.
can watch it
But even
maximum.
not-
yeah, I get
You
that.
watch the game probably through the BBC website.
Yeah.
And we're obviously
Yeah,
accused of
I
being
did. I know.
anti-BBC.
No, I watched
we're
that
not.
website. Yeah.
Should we not be promoting our? Should that not be a game a week?
Well, aren't they
on
playing as a
the-
double header with the Super Grand Final, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. So you look.
I mean, the World Cup final.
Well,
Sorry, my apologies. I meant the World Cup final. Sorry. Yeah. So I mean, that's a great opportunity because you're putting more focus on it. People in the ground, and you know that's a great idea to promote the women's game. Because, look, they need to put more money in if you want to really give some. You've got to fund it. Now the RFL, I don't know how much money they've got, so they're going to have to go to the Super League. Somebody's going to have to go to Robert Elston and say, it's important. You're absolutely right. It's important to fund the game, and it's important to get more people watching it. Now, you do that, that's a different question. But look, if we rewind 2 years, you had nothing. You had nothing. So that, to be fair, Rugby League has made great strides to get out of the starting game, which was the first priority, because you had nothing, didn't you, with the women's game. So I think you've got to give them some credit for getting the thing off the ground and up and running and producing the kind of quality that we've already seen, and that can only get better the more people watch it. And sponsors and all that
this
kind
is
of
actually better than I think a lot of people think it would believe it to be, and we maybe need to push it on a little bit more.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
And if we can do that,
the more they push it, the better.
Yeah. Nigel says stick to darts, and he'll stick to Speedway. And David says it's LD Nutrition Stadium. Get it right. Sorry about that. It's not called
Post Office Road to me.
It is on Post Office Road.
I go to Post Office Road and Bellevue.
Are you allowed in with your bottle of Coke?
Or the rocket ship. The rocket ship. No, I'm not allowed in with the bottle of Coke. It was a can of tin actually. It was dark as well, actually.
But what is interesting though, the way sport is being covered on TV and online, athletics, which always gets far more coverage on the BBC than it probably deserves, and the amount of bloody funds to stick on there. Sorry, 10K is Great Northern, whatever. Who cares? They had the British Indoor Athletics was online only this week. It wasn't on actual television.
All right, but I mean, is that not a sign of how people are watching it anyway?
But they put like basketball on there, regular basketball games. I think they've got pool coming up. You know, why aren't we doing anything? We're just thinking within our insular world, and then wondering why aren't people interested in this? Why aren't people? Doing this?
I defend the RFL a bit here because the Challenge Cup's now on in the early stages, in early rounds, which is being streamed.
The problem with that,
I know it's not 12 camera sky outside broadcast, but it's being streamed, and you're getting the Women's Cup final was streamed. You know, so they've taken some small steps. Yes, it could be better. Yes, it could be on more often. You know, I get all that, but you've got to start somewhere, haven't you? I mean, you know, it's Rome wasn't built in a day or something.
But
as Brian Clough said, he wasn't on that job. What do we need on this job?
What I don't understand is why didn't they put the Challenge Cup game on at a different time to all the other games that were kicking off at 3 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon? When it's their app and it's their competition and it's their thing.
Well, this is the thing we have about the Friday night games. This is a moan I've had before, is why do we compete against our own audience? Why is there generally 4 games on a Friday night? One of them's on the telly. I dare say there'll be 20,000 of those people will be sat home watching the rugby on the telly if they weren't watching their own club. Do we need to sort that out?
Well, I keep having almost the same conversation about almost everything to do with Super League and Rugby League. You need to decide, right, they should sit round with a blank piece of paper and decide what they want things to look like and how they want things to pan out. But at the moment, there isn't very much joined up thinking between anybody, so the 12 clubs, trying to get them to agree to something, well, good luck with that project. So we'll get more on a Friday night. Instead of somebody sat, it might be Robert Elston that sits around the table at the start of the next season or the next broadcast and says, right, you're not doing that. Right, we're having one game on Thursday, one on a Friday, and the rest of you can play anytime we want, but that's it. And I'm telling you, that's how it's going to be. If you don't like it, you're going to have to lump it. So
has he got that authority though? I don't think he has he?
Well, his stock is high at the moment. He could say almost anything at the moment. And his stock is high because it's like a coach or a football manager. The day after you're appointed is when you're at your strongest.
It's funny you say that though, because he didn't comment on the Ben Barber issue.
Well, he did.
Well, he didn't initially when he was asked by numerous journalists.
Yeah, but he did then. He said something which I couldn't really understand because it was absolutely nothing to do with the Super League anyway, because the RFL will decide whether a player's registered or not. But
that's true.
So I'm not sure what that was all about, because it was absolutely nothing to do with it. Super League have got no jurisdiction on who's registered to play, and that's RFL, isn't it?
You would think so,
yeah. Right.
But I'm sure if the RFL wanted him, Rod, they would say, no, we're having him.
What's that, Barber?
A player. I'm not saying Barber, but
Barber's. I know what John thinks, but this is a very complex issue which requires a lot of careful consideration, because you're going very deep into the whole ethos of crime and punishment and how you believe people that commit offences should be treated. You know, when they've served their sentence, should they be rehabilitated? Should they? If you're going to say that someone should never ever work again, that's a very, very draconian sentence, and it becomes very. You need to have a very serious conversation about where you go with the whole thing. And I'm not sure. I know I've read what Martin Sadler said this week. I'm not sure. I think Mr. Greenberg should have pressed the pause button before saying it. I think he would have been wise to keep his own counsel and just go and consider the whole implications of everything they're doing.
Do you think previous history might have played a part on how he reacted this time? As in, he
Quite
got
possibly,
caught,
but I'm
he
not
got
sure.
caught on the hop last time, didn't he?
Yes, with the same player, but I'm not. I don't find it all that comfortable to hear someone say, "I haven't seen any of these. I haven't seen this incident, but somebody told me what it was, and therefore I'm banning a player for life." I don't feel very
That
comfortable.
was
All right,
about
here's one, here's
tonight,
one then, Rob.
I don't
Do you
feel very
think, do you
comfortable
think
with
he'll
that.
end up in Super League?
I don't know. I wouldn't like to guess. I'm not. See, I'm not sure. I mean, I may be wrong. I may have missed something here, but the player hasn't been charged by the police for
He's under investigation.
Under investigation. Okay, so
It's a police investigation.
so we'll see what pans out from that, because I don't know whether there'll be a charge. I haven't seen what's happened. I've obviously heard rumours, and as you said on the programme quite clearly, you made it quite clear last week. No one's condoning domestic violence in any way,
No,
shape, or
not
form.
at all.
No, you know, serious crimes against the person are extremely
you have-
serious and should be punished accordingly.
Yeah.
If you
But-
have an offender who carries out domestic violence
Yes.
repeatedly,
Well,
and you don't take action, then you are essentially condoning it.
well, you have to let legal process take its course, and I don't feel very comfortable with anybody being, sentenced, if you will, without any due legal process, and
That's what my frustration was last week.
without his legal rights. So, that doesn't stop me condemning domestic violence and serious crimes against the person. They're absolutely abhorrent, but I really do think that anybody, no matter what you think of them and whether you like them or don't like them, they're entitled to the same legal process as the rest of us, whether they're the nastiest piece of work you've ever met or the nicest bloke you've ever met. They're all entitled to the same legal process. Otherwise, we haven't got a proper judicial system, and I think that needs to apply also with the way governing bodies of sports deal with problems as well.
I think there's a really good, I don't know if you guys have seen a really good piece that Gareth Ellis wrote for the Yorkshire Post on this, and ties in his experiences playing in.
Well, Terry
NRL
Richardson has just tweeted
Yeah.
exactly the same thing.
Yeah, Terry,
so
yeah.
we'll hunt that out. We've been told off by Catherine, says I'm confused, women's rugby's not new. I was watching it at Cas Panthers 20 years ago. We apologise, Catherine. I guess we're on about
No, but we're on about
It's
the
like
Super League. What about
you-
Super
yeah.
League?
Hashtag new beginnings.
Everyone's asking me about Rangi Chase. So is he
Well,
playing?
it's in the paper. He's apparently going to be playing for Castle Lane or Normanton ahead of the end of his ban.
So you're back to the same thing,
Yeah.
because you're saying, well, that's it. He should be thrown out for life and stop from earning a living. And there'll be people that will say that.
But no one
Yeah.
said that about Zach Connor. Well,
Well,
So earning a living playing rugby league, not from going to work on a job site or.
yeah, but what does that? But what does that say about what your opinion is of people that do work on the job site?
No, but I think the point is playing professional sport at elite level.
Right.
When you
But what
are
is it-
watched by thousands and paid
But
a
what?
high wage puts you on a
But
different.
what happens if? Yes, but what happens if his partner and his children argue that you're actually affecting us because you're stopping him earning to feed and clothe and house us. So you're affecting them as well if you ban a man for earning.
That's a
So all
fair
these
point,
things need
yeah.
to be considered
Yeah,
before
definitely.
people
I think
sort of say.
colouring the
this
Barber issue with Greenberg was the
it's
16 other incidents
Yeah.
that happened in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah,
And that sort
so
of
he-
put more pressure on
Right.
Greenberg to come out and
Okay.
make a
And
sweeping statement.
Yeah, and then and then are you saying that anybody, Greenberg said that the Barber incident and the domestic violence was at the top of the list, but what is the list?
Yeah,
So
that's
there's
again.
question
yeah.
upon question.
Yeah.
from
There's a
everything
video
he's-
with a dog on the list. There's
Well,
one
I-
bubbling.
I
yeah.
don't know. So,
Yeah.
and what the tariff is for each thing. So it's so complex. This is what I'm saying. It's so complex
Yeah.
that really requires some really serious thought from people far cleverer than me to try and work out what you're gonna do and how you're gonna approach things. Because there's people running around in the Super League with all sorts of
Yes.
offences.
Similar.
So are they
if
going to
not
be
the same
it's
offence?
very,
Yeah.
very, very complex.
You
very
were-
complex.
You upset people
All the time.
on Twitter, Rod,
All the time.
By turning up.
By existing.
all the Salford fans by
Why?
mentioning
Why?
at the
What?
weekend the professionalism of our sport and things like the nudie run and Mad
Oh yes, you're
Mondays.
against the nudie run. Yes, one of the great traditions.
Well,
of rugby league.
what I
Is it
say.
going to be live on pay-per-view on Sky? Is that going to be the thing?
Not if Josh Perry's doing it.
Or Scully?
Didn't he get arrested in St Helens for doing a nudie run, Josh Perry, I believe?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Look, What I was trying to say was that the world is moved on, and if rugby league wants to attract a progressive new audience, and a progressive new audience with money and sponsors and corporate people, then really these things are an anachronism. And I don't see why are we promoting people running around naked in their workplace since when they fail to meet some work-related target. I mean, I don't know what the players think of that, or if some of them want to do it or don't want to do it, or some of them enjoy it. But the fact is that what sort of image is that? What sort of image is to see a group of players dressed in fancy dress when they've been knocked out of the playoffs, apparently heading off into town to drink? Listen, you can say, "Oh, it's ridiculous," it's some kind of,
Wowza.
fuddy-duddy. But
Did you not get
look,
my email about if we don't get a certain number of tweets, Roger, you've actually got to do the new run? Did you not get that?
It's cold outside too. It's going to be a lot of shrinkage.
It's 2019, and those. I mean, Damien Irvine tweeted back saying, when corporate, when commercial people at rugby clubs like Damien is obviously top commercial operator, says it does make an effect when the game has this kind of image to try and attract better sponsors, more money. If rugby league wants to exist on its current dwindling audience of people who are watching it now and have watched it since 1980, well, good luck, because at the moment, how's that working out? The audience is going like that, and Robert Elston's trying to get it to go back up like that. Well, if you can't attract enough of the audience you've already got, you need new audience, you need progressive people. Now, I don't know, if people think that's a good image, that's fair enough, but I'm not sure that's going to attract, the people that are going to bring new money into the game. I could be wrong, but I just think there's a lot of people that want to go back to some misty-eyed yesterday of 1975 and 1985. It was all better when we had Millwood and Murphy and all that kind of stuff. But
The game wasn't soft.
The game wasn't soft, and we need more. And when you could clothesline someone and whack them around the head, and it was all better. It wasn't better. The game's better now, and it's safer now, and it should be. By the way, just remember that. Talking about Murphy, you were talking about play acting earlier with the other Murphy. Well, the most famous incident of play acting in the history of rugby league was the other Murphy, Alec Murphy, and we all when Hines got sent off. That's 40 years ago. That's 78, wasn't it? 77, I can't remember. But it's like good old Alec. He stuffed him up there, didn't he? He got him sent off. So. That kind of thing's been going on forever. But I just think we need to move into the 21st century. That's upset everybody. Well, fair enough. I mean,
Are you saying we shouldn't have former players doing blackface on TV programs?
Don't even know what that is.
Move on.
I don't know what that is.
It's created a lot
Explain
of people saying trial by social media rather than the rule of the law in respect to Ben Barber. It's an interesting one. And by the way, the Challenge Cup draw tonight, we've had a lot of messages about it. Good evening to Colin, long time listener. So they've managed to mess up the Challenge Cup draw again. It seems that Scoey's, is it a 6 or is it a 9, has come into play this evening. And there seems to be a bit of controversy.
Why do we?
Is that where he is? Is that where he was? He
I know what I was
doing
going to say. Go on.
Just take the 6s and the 9s out.
No, why didn't you just put the names of the team on? Is it beyond the wit of
Can't
man?
afford that. Can't afford that.
Oh, come on.
What do you mean you can
Have
put
we got any ping pong balls that we can write?
No. But why don't they have the Champions League is like the premier club sports competition in the world, and it's in a little they unscrew it and they go Real Madrid. Why don't they? I mean, how simple can it be to put in Wiggins and Pats?
Yeah, but they'd have to. When they say Wiggins and Pats, and they put Wiggins and Judes in a different one.
No, and how difficult can that be? Why don't they have it so they get the Ralph? What? Where's the camera? Where's the camera? Where's the camera? Ralph,
They're both cameras.
right, Ralph. What you need to do, get the Champions League, these spherical objects, the unscrewed plastic, put in the names of the teams, put them all in the drum and pick them out. And then you can open it up and go, Wigan will play Leeds. That's a better idea than numbered balls.
All we need is someone at the RFL that eats a lot of Kinder eggs.
Well,
And then they can just
I want to see Figo doing the next Challenge Cup draw. So what?
Well,
I mean, surely. How simple can that be? It's better.
Isn't it interesting how
I think Wigan.
the RFL have had a thing tonight, and Super League have had a thing tonight as well? the Man of Steel launch and the Challenge Cup draws both against each other.
Well,
Strange.
You see this. Look, the Football League, the FA, and the Premier League almost get along fine, don't they? You know, I mean, I'm sure they have arguments, but they're not public spats, are they? You know, people disagree with UEFA disagree quite a lot with FIFA, but they try to keep it under hat, and it's like, you know, so I think it's quite important that we don't have any more. You know, we need to move on now. That argument's over. Let's crack on with what we're doing, because you know, we're just arguing amongst ourselves isn't going to help very much, is it? You know, so.
Okay.
We're not taking slides on this programme. We'll just have a go at everyone. We're not following. We don't get
Where it's needed. Where it's needed. Go on, what else is happening?
Neil says, what about Cass? We spoke about Cass earlier.
Well, I want to ask the question, is Paul McShane the most valuable player to his team in Super League? I don't mean the best player in the competition. Is he the most valuable player to his side? If Cass were to lose him, and you saw that look on Darryl Powell's face when he thought he'd done his knee in, when his knee like bent the wrong way, and Darryl Powell looked up like someone had poked him with a red hot poker. He jumped up. We were like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" Is it, John?
He'd be up there. I don't know if he'd be in the whole Super League.
I think he would. I'd say take one player out of a team. He's the most important. I think if Cass lose him, I think they're in trouble.
But they took the best player out of their team already.
Well, but they can cut. Who would play hooker if it wasn't?
Oh
him?
no, I'm not disputing that. But
No.
If we'd had this conversation
But
pre-season,
then
you'd
you
have said
lose
Gale,
Milner.
wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, maybe.
Well, Man Steel season before last.
I don't know.
Well, he's certainly.
He was outstanding again.
No, he's superb.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was.
Yeah, he's really, really lighting on competition, isn't he? You know, so, but look, yeah, he'll get 3 Man of Steel. Have you got the Man of Steel points? You get 3 Man of Steel points there, surely, won't
He
you?
must have.
Must be a banker. For
Didn't even get the man of the match, did he?
Well, that's because
Got the
that's why not my
three-pointer.
people. And
Oh,
like
yeah.
me,
And like you said, what did you say earlier?
No, it's not.
people are idiots. Remember that?
No, it's not anymore, is it?
Yeah, it's not.
No,
Well,
no,
it's a different one than on the app.
no. What happens now is this is even better now because there's 4 man of the matches in every game.
Right.
So really, you know, there's only 34 players on the pitch. You've got about 1 in 8 chance of winning one of those awards. There's the sponsors for the home team.
Oh,
Isn't
which is
there?
always
Right, then there's the broadcasters Sky
Yeah.
Sports Man of the Match. Then there's the Our League app voted Man of the Match.
Is it still a mysterious legend?
I don't know. And then there's of course the Man of Steel
Yeah.
Man of the
Yes.
Match for the 3-pointer.
And he did get.
The one that week.
Well, he's on 4 points, so
They got the 1-pointer. He went for the 1-pointer last week. Didn't he?
no, maybe the 1 point against Catalans, and then
Yeah, they got the 3-pointer this
Yeah.
time.
There was that week I
Hastings
voted for
getting
hacking
points
balloons.
there,
He was the
John.
only one
Yes,
player
he is on 3 points.
That's
over
good, isn't
Jeremy
it?
Van
Oh, there
Nistelrooy.
you
Go on, Ben.
Rod's happy.
Go on,
Rod's happy.
go on, Jackson.
16-1. Now we're on. Going to lay it back.
Stuff going on social
Like that,
media.
shame.
Plenty of them. Catherine's asked us about the PDRL World Cup in 2021. This isn't part of the rest of everything else World Cup, is
There
this?
is no. Is there a PDR?
Well, apparently there is one, but it's not part of the
No,
World Cup.
The
So
wheelchair World Cup is.
yeah, I don't know what's happening with it because it's not. I don't know what's going on with it.
No.
When's the next PDRL game? Does anyone know?
But with the PDR World Cup, isn't there really only clubs in Australia and England? So it's going to be sort of a brief World Cup.
Maybe we could play best of 3.
Test series.
Paul has, I think, made Rod's point earlier. Sure, the Chargers brought viewers to the game. Look at UFC. Their viewing figures are increasing year after year. They are the fastest growing sports. Bring back the base.
No,
As I always say,
they're
just
not.
go watch boxing.
No, look,
You don't have to watch.
rugby league. Look, we've seen the concussion issue in the NFL, and there was $1 billion lawsuit, and they've had to tidy up the game. And some of the studies that make really horrific reading. And both codes of rugby have had to tidy things up. Boxing and MMA are clearly sports that, frankly, it's designed to.
Cause injury.
Well,
you're boxing,
You're trying to
you're
debilitate your.
designed to
You're trying to debilitate
physically
your
disable your
Yeah.
opponent. So
your
that,
opponent, yeah.
I mean, that's a whole different debate. But rugby, we have to be very careful with concussion-related injuries in rugby league because sooner or later, you could have a situation like the NFL where players or the players' union decides to sue because their members are not being properly protected, and then that.
Well, I think Alex McKinnon's still got a lawsuit
Right,
going
yeah,
against
of
the
course, yeah.
NRL. I think that's still going.
yeah.
But yeah.
So I don't
Numerous
know what
players
happened
have
with
come out and said, like Ian Roberts, I've got brain damage.
that. It's,
You know,
it's
yeah.
just not pleasant reading some of the
Yeah.
stories, as you said, players who've now retired and suffering CTE injuries and
Dementia.
Because it was interesting.
dementia.
At the start of the union season, we were getting all these, oh, he's been sent off for that, he's been sent off for that, but we haven't had that recently. Does that mean the players have learned, or they're refereeing it differently?
No,
They've learned, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've learned. You're getting walked. If you do, you're getting
The
walked.
problem now with rugby, I mean, as Rod said, it's a complicated issue and it's a very sort of thin line.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen in some of the Six Nations, it's now any sort of tackle, forceful tackles almost, you know, getting penalised. So they've arguably gone too far, in my opinion. But it is such a hard thing to police.
It is. Yeah. I mean, it's not. I mean, where the point is slightly fair. It's not the shoulder charge per se. It's the fact that shoulder charges were deemed to be more likely to make contact with the head.
Yeah.
So that's why they just said we'll get rid of it completely. So yeah, that was the reason.
Yeah. It don't make it. I don't know. It don't make it any softer.
Now I've worked out. He put UFC and BKB, and I couldn't work out what BKB was. Bare knuckle boxing.
Let's have a bare knuckle. Then it's Ronnie Pickering.
Just go down to your local pub at 11 o'clock and go watch some people scrapping. Jeez. It's
Is that
professional
the
sport.
Olympics?
Yeah, it is in Bel Isle.
Well, that was the point.
Where's the thing?
When Leon Price was talking about the players are diving because they're not allowed to batter each other. Well, we're not allowed to batter each other, so they live longer, healthier lives.
Yeah.
But if you want to be idiots and smack yourself into concussions and brain damage, and go on,
This
do
is where
whatever you
the
want.
games authorities and the match review panel in particular have done a great job with them. Cannonball tackles, chicken wing tackles, these ninja tackles. They're just being outlawed.
Yeah.
Completely. And
It's a better sport for it.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
But who wants to see players aged 40, 45 to retire with knees that are completely crippled and arthritis and and said brain injuries? Who wants to see that? Who wants to see these great athletes reduced to that when they stop playing?
There'll be players that play and wake up on a Saturday with a headache, not even realising they've had a bang on the head and stuff like that. So we need to cut. You're right. We need to cut that down. I think the NFL's been better this year. You can't go just smacking the quarterback or whatever.
No, of course
you want.
not. But they've tightened everything up with the quarterback. They've made it so late hit on the passer, roughing the passer. And one of the rules I think is brilliant is unnecessary roughness. Which if a guy's on the floor, all you've got to do is put your hand on him, and a tackle's been affected. Now, if you look at that Joel Tompkins incident with Blake Austin, regardless of why are we allowing players when there's a bloke already on the floor to launch themselves at them on the grounds that they're there and I can make
do
a
we
tackle?
go the rugby union way then? So is it either because that's why the voluntary tackle now is out, because you lie on the floor, you just touch his tackled. As soon as you touch him, he's tackled. Why do we not do that? Or do you go down the rugby union law if it's a kick where they've got to get back to their feet before you can tackle them? Well, that's what it used to be. I don't know if it still is.
They've stamped out a lot of these stuff like roughing the kicker and things. We're quite good at that, but there's other ones which are now getting quite hot on. We've all seen it. Ball player offloads, relaxes, and gets whacked in the ribs or the kidneys by somebody very, very late, and they've penalised a lot of them. They're just despicable.
It doesn't happen as much so now, does it?
No,
and what you find now is when you got the kicker, you're finding the big forward who really wants to break the halfback is almost cuddling him when he tries to tackle.
That's
him.
Such a.
But that's the NFL style, isn't it? If you hit the kicker, you're gonna get flagged.
It's such a thin line though, because the best halfback to play at the line.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah. But
it's literally like,
yeah, it is. But again.
5 minutes after you pass the ball.
I'm going to say, then there's draw, pass, and then the next block's pass it, and then the tackle
exactly.
It's a bit late, isn't it?
But
I think
those
it's
are the
a
ones in the
spectacle.
70s and 80s that the people that want it to be back in the 70s and 80s, they want that to happen. They want the halfback to be flattened.
Just as a word,
what's that about?
We give credit where it's due. I think the opening 2 weeks of Super League have been quite aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
The games have been quicker. I think they're speeded up. Certainly, I thought the Cast game against Hull was really quick. Thursday.
The shot. I'm not sure whether they actually needed the shot clock. They could have probably done it with the referee saying you need to get over it. I'm going to blow a penalty, but they brought that in to make it formalised, and players have got on with it. They're not faffed. They've fed the scrum and they've got on with it, or they've taken the goal line drop and they've got on with it, which is what the game should be. Rugby league is one of its greatest strengths and charms has been the relentless nature of it, hasn't it? The bang, 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 bang. That's what attracted people to watch rugby league. The skills and the physical hits, but also the relentless, speed of it all. So that has worked beautifully, hasn't it?
There's a conspiracy theory about getting onto our league at Championship tries of the week thing. You have to play for Leeds or something because it's Leeds rule everything.
Oh, okay.
But it was interesting with the shot clock yesterday at Bellevue and Mobile Rocket.
Oh, they got one now.
They have got one. It works and everything. It's big bright numbers. There was a scrum towards the end of the game where it was Wakefield to feed it. Wakefield's players were ready, Saints weren't. And I think, I can't remember who was feeding, it might be Jacob Miller at that point, or whoever it was. Panicking because the clock was ticking down. Wakefield were ready, but Saints went and put it in the middle of it was a complete mess anyway. Nothing happened. It's like, no, just let them get a penalty. Get a penalty, where it'll be all right. No.
Who gets blown?
I don't know, because the Saints players weren't
Is
ready.
it the team that was faffing?
I assume so.
Yeah.
I assume that's the real word in the book as well.
I don't think there's been a penalty blown for one yet. It's worked to the desired effect. Yeah.
Fun game yesterday. Saints,
No, good.
they're the,
Yeah, we haven't spoken about Wakefield
well,
in crisis
it's
yet.
no, well, two from two. Danny Brough, 2 from 2.
Is he going to say, like, is he get paid more if it's a yellow card every game?
But look, better when he wasn't on there, we scored a try, and Saints didn't score a try. His kicking game, he's
They covered the handicap, that's all I was bothered about.
he's the best kicker in Super League. You know, kicked a 40-20, kicked more goals than Mark Percival. That could have been the difference between the two teams with Danny Brough kicking. As it turns out, it was Lee McCarthy Scarsbrook try. But
He nearly had golden pointless.
we know we did, and we should have been excited. But
You'd have been
Such
there.
I wasn't
such a
there.
killjoy, Rog.
I was there. It's great because apparently on Radio Merseyside where Scully was.
Scully working for the BBC.
Well, Ray French was retired. They've got to get somebody else in, so they've got Scully. And he was on there saying they should have gone for 1 point and then they scored a try. So got to see he's still working out for him. We should say Ray French is retiring. Where's the big tribute? What are we doing? There's nothing.
He's got a hell of a history in the game, hasn't he?
Exactly. Where's the big tribute for him from the sport? I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
He deserves more than he's got.
Yeah, well.
There you go. That was interesting. Yeah, people are asking about predictions to come in. We don't have many to predict.
There's only
this
3
week.
to predict this week, so we're what we have got to do is mention our sponsor, the 4020.
Because the new magazine is out this week. And
It's
it looks
out this week.
beautiful.
Looks beautiful.
People are asking where Phillies has been marking my spelling.
Yeah,
I've
well,
written an
what Phil wrote, Rich wrote an article for the
Yeah.
website, and it's taken about 4 weeks to get right.
Yeah,
So,
so
Has he been helping Richie Miller with his kicking game?
oh. There is a rumour that Richie
Kicking
Myler
coach.
next week at Salford will have Phil Kaplan's knee bandage on. That could be
The lucky knee.
the missing link. Never mind your marquee signings, Phil Kaplan's knee bandage. That's where we're going. Go on then. We'll do our predictions now. We have only got the 3. No, in fact, we'll do some of the championship game because the championship. By the way, fair play to Widnes. What a result for them.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
By
they're
the way, big win for Halifax. Fed back to winning ways. The Bulls win again.
Feathers and Rhinos.
Leeds win again. At Leeds. York even beat Dewsbury, my apologies. And Sheffield at Barrow, big result for them.
That York game sounds like it was a cracker, doesn't it? Dewsbury, late,
does.
very late try for them, and Witness. The concern wasn't it, that they were going to bring in all these new players, new coach? How would they all settle in? And they're settling in quite well. And 2
2
weeks
tries for
in,
Mr. Gelling,
Yeah.
everybody's favourite.
Yeah.
Right, okay. We will start off with the Super League games on Sunday. Hull Kingston Rovers taking on the London Broncos. Mr. Stud, we'll start with you. What is your expected outcome?
My expected outcome is that Hull Kingston Rovers will win.
Okay.
Is there any further detail?
Yeah.
Uh,
Try and give us a bit
you
of
have to pick
background.
up-
You know, we've
well,
got to try and put this on Twitter and make it sound...
right. Sorry. Hull Kingston Rovers are better than London, so I anticipate that the likelihood is that they will win that fixture, and I think they will win by a dozen points
Okay.
with ground advantage.
Very good. That's 12 in old money. John, you were outstanding last week. We
Yeah,
have got to say
Just
that.
because
You were
I was sitting next to
outstanding.
You
Scully.
had 20 points on this scale, which is the most of everyone. In fact, you're only 6 points behind Mark, and you didn't even tip in the first week. So
All right, calm down, smart. What did I get last
Fluke.
week?
26. Oh, you got 19, sorry.
Yeah, a bit of respect, please. Yeah, thank you. How many did you get last week?
I got 17, but I'm top of the table, so I don't care. I've got a GIF and everything now.
Are you eating a sandwich?
What a smug... You'll be wearing one in a minute for your knuckle sandwich.
He's eating a sort of.
I'm going to send it to the Huddersfield Giants training
He's eating
ground
a
with Mark
Bavarian
Wilson.
slice.
Oh, I saw what happened to Matt Shaw. I'm not going there.
Okay, 14 points. I think London they will surprise some more teams, but I think Hull are at home. They'll bounce back from that Warrington loss and get the win there.
Of course, what we know is Scully will say 2 things in 2 different places, so we'll get his numbers anyway, so it'll be all right. Yeah, home win. Hull KR by... it's a tricky one, this, isn't it? Because I was surprised London didn't score yesterday. I'm going to go by 16.
I think Hull KR will win, but I think it'll be tight this week. I think London will score some points at Hull KR, so I'm going to go Hull KR by 6.
Where's your London shirt? You're not
So you
jumping
what,
out of it.
It
So
took, me
tight.
it took me 3 hours to get it off last week.
Skin tight as well.
Eh?
I think going back to that
Jeez.
story of you and Sam Burgess when you got that shirt off his back.
Yeah, I did literally. He said, if you can, when I was a Bradford fan, I was down at London, at Harlequins as it was then, and I knew Sam, and I said, I've got a function, can I have your shirt? He went, well, yeah, all right then. And he said, if you can get it off. And he went like that. It took me about 10 minutes to get a foot on his head. Get
One
the
of the
shirt
days
off.
of those loose-fitting cotton garments.
I've got the
Yes.
Legends tips here, so...
Okay, 7.
Did you like that picture of him as Len Goodman? Did you like that? It took me
Yes.
hours to do. He's gone OKR by 20.
Okay, there you go. Moving on, this is the big one. Salford against Leeds, Rob. Now, we all know, the listeners have told us you hate Salford, so
Yeah,
you've got to be
Salford.
going for Leeds.
Yeah, go for Leeds. Yeah. Go for Leeds, for no other reason. I think Leeds are better than Salford.
Right,
So-
okay. Have you not watched the first two? Right?
Yes, yes, I have.
Okay.
I've got Leeds rated higher than Salford, even away from home. I expect Leeds to win that fixture by 4 points.
John?
No, I think Mr. Studd is well wrong. Salford will win.
Well wrong. You sound
Yes.
like my teenage
just
son.
wrong.
Well wrong.
Gutter journalism.
Well,
I prefer dog whistle journalism, thank you.
Whatever that means.
Salford by 6. They're looking good. They're on a roll. They're confident. Jackson Hastings is pulling the strings. Noel Evans 4 tries in 2 games. Top of Super League. Yeah, they will win by 6.
Luke pointed out that Jackson Hastings is as important to Salford as perhaps Bob
I would
Shays,
agree.
the Council.
Yeah.
okay, yeah, that's fair point. Yeah, fair point.
So I remember that, throwing it in here. This is the kind of game I can see Leeds winning, and I kind of want to go for Leeds, but also Salford are playing better. You know what? I'm going to,
Go
for the
Golden
first
Bournemouth.
time this year, I'm going to go for the draw. I'm going to go for the draw. I'm going to have a draw.
Draw?
0.
What is that after Golden Point?
You're
Or
gonna
before
go
Guys,
Golden
guys,
Point?
we have draws on this.
All right.
I'm kidding
All right.
you.
Fair
It's 18
enough.
minutes only. 18,
You're not going Golden Point.
18 minutes only. I'm going to
I
regret
want
that
back
now. But, still.
Salford, but
Back them then.
But this is the first time in 2 weeks.
should it be a pick 'em though? That's
No.
you see the trouble I have with the predictions, Rod, is that I
You
look at it
the
from a
odds and then
betting
you-
point
yeah,
of view
yeah.
rather than from the thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm going to go Salford. I'm going Salford by 8. Yeah.
I don't know if
regret
I've
that.
broken the spreadsheet now by putting a 0 in there, but we'll find out. But
Okay. And the final game of the Super League / World Cup Challenge weekend is Wigan against Sydney Roosters. Rod Stud.
Sydney Roosters to prevail by 12.
Right.
Yeah, I think the Roosters, even though Latrell Mitchell is not there, Mitch Orbison will probably play in the centres, and they're well up for this game. I think they'll have a little bit too much class for the Warriors and win by 8.
I'm going to go for Sydney City Roosters. I'll not call that anymore. They're like Salford. Oh, and the Salford of the
Salford
NRL.
City Reds.
Salford City Red Devils.
Similar fan base.
I saw him rip that sign off the stadium here.
No,
That's why it's still there, isn't it?
I think it's 40 grand to take that off. That's why I haven't got rid of it.
Get the lads from Belle Isle. Look at it. Is it made out of metal? They'll have that down in a brick.
Those lads who had-
Cherry picking. So we'll shitty up the drain pipe
when
there.
the Wakefield scoreboard went missing, we'll get that in. By the way, there's a reconstruction of this game. A prediction will be coming up later in the week on social media, so look out for that. And that will definitely be wrong on the scoreline because I know what happens. I'm going to go Sydney Rooster Mania by 8. I don't know. Oh, by the way, apparently this spreadsheet you can't do draws, so I'll have to go for Salford by 2.
Alright, well, there you go. For the interest of I like the fact that the Roosters are seem to be taking this really seriously. I think Robinson will come, want them to win. I think Wigan will push it all the way, but it's quality, isn't it? We saw Wigan at St Helens last week. They got undone by a bit of quality. I think Sydney will win. I'm gonna go by 14. Sydney to win. Right, we'll have a couple of games from the Championship then. Right, Lee taking on Featherstone.
So what about Toronto? The Toronto versus
Team is
Widnes.
Toronto.
That's the repeat.
well.
That's a repeat of the game last year when Widnes got relegated, wasn't it?
All right,
Where
go
that
on, then, we'll go
contentious
for that
game
one.
where the Widnes players were then filmed
Oh,
in a
yes.
hostelry after the game, and by remarkable coincidence, this game has been played at Newcastle. So,
All at the big market.
yeah, well, I didn't say that. I was in Newcastle at Premier League darts last week. It's a marvellous place. What a
It is a marvellous
brilliant
place.
city that is.
Yeah. Toronto Widnes then, go on, you got
Well,
your
this is a really crucial game, isn't it? So I'm going to. Well, Toronto will be the favourites, obviously, but I'm going to back Gelling to carry on his good work and back Widnes to win by 2 points. Just because I like Gelling.
Well,
The only reason. If he's not playing, I'm back in Toronto.
like Rod being very anti-Salford, I'm of course very
Anti-Toronto.
anti-Toronto, or so I've been accused. But no, I think the Wolfpack will win by 6. It'll be a tight game.
I'm going to go Widnes by 8. I don't know why.
I just wonder, Widnes have had 2 really tough games to kick off the season. We saw Toronto huff and puff at York. Well, Widnes I think are going to offer more with the ball than York. I'm going to go I think Widnes might win this. I think Widnes will sneak it. Apparently taking quite a lot of fans as well to the North East.
Why wouldn't they?
Should be a good
Speaking
atmosphere.
of Widnes, Big Jim Mills
Yes.
has been on. He's about the only person, he's gone for Widnes by 10. He's the only person to tip Wigan. Everyone else is going to Roosters by 16, 2, 42, 34. Big Jim, Wigan by 12. I'm not arguing with him.
Well, I'll let you argue with him.
Yeah.
He's still big, he's
Exactly,
Jim.
yeah.
I reckon he could still give you a crack and all. In fact, isn't it funny? You look at him now as a person, and you just wonder how fearsome he must have been on a rugby league field. Right, last one then, Rod. Lee Featherstone. I think we'll pull that as the pick of the games this week in the Championship.
That's quite a tough one, isn't it? A lot of this depends, of course, on what the Featherstone Rhinos side will be, doesn't it? Well, it does, though, doesn't it? Well, no, it does. Well, no, it does, doesn't it? Because I mean, you know, it
Well,
can differ
Yeah.
wildly from one week to the other. This is the problem.
Has Bradson got to be chucked under a bus by
We
the
haven't
way?
got time to go on about dual registration, but it doesn't help. It's very difficult. I'll say Featherstone at home there by 4.
Yeah, I think the Leeds Rovers will win by 2.
Could be on scapegoat, isn't he, Brad? Seems, after week 1. Fev by 8. Just to please my Featherstone supporting family.
I'm going to go for Lee at home. I'll go Lee by 2. I think it'd be tight, that one. I think at home there'll be a different proposition to being away. That's pretty much us done. I feel like I need to do Jerry's bring a moment, you know, and explain
What we've,
my Huddersfield outburst and, you know, say, look, I've been to your club, I've done media training with young people, free of charge. I've hosted your sponsors' dinners free of charge. I don't dislike Huddersfield, but I do dislike play acting. And Aaron Murphy, you were a disgrace last week. Don't do it again, son. Please don't do it. We don't want to see it. We don't want to see it. And that goes for every other club as well.
He was unlucky, but he was the one that there's always a first.
There's always a first.
Unfortunately,
It's
he's
a
the
line
first.
in the sand, Aaron. It's a
Yeah.
line in the sand, son. Don't let it happen again. I hope your teammates absolutely rip you to bits over it for the rest of your career. And what everyone tells me, and I know you are a good pro, don't do it, son. Don't do it. Rod, thanks for your time, as ever.
My pleasure, Mark.
Good man. Stick to the darts.
Stick
Where
to
are you?
Glasgow, stick
Edinburgh?
to darts.
Glasgow.
Glasgow, man. If I step in Edinburgh, I'll be in trouble.
Yes, you will.
Glasgow this week.
John, thanks as ever. You become a very, very valuable member of our squad.
The RSW's just walked out.
Well, he's got to press all the buttons because otherwise it's like police squad at the end where we've all got to sit here until the battery.
This is our budget, unfortunately.
He is he's production is Richard. Thanks to Richard Shaw. Right, Wakefield in crisis. Well, there's one good thing anyway. At least Wakey and Hull won't lose this week. Come on. There's always
They beat the bye.
they'll beat the bye. Good luck to Wigan. Good luck as well to Salford because come on, if they do win this week, it will be Leeds in crisis next week. Download the podcast. Thousands of you doing that every week. We do appreciate each and every one of you. Buy the latest 4020 magazine or Phil shoot me. And we'll see you next week. Thank you.
I should apologise to all the people watching on YouTube who are still for the fact that the camera's been wonky and it looks like we're on a hill on YouTube. So I apologise for that.